All right, hello, hello, hello. How's it going there, Sergeant? How's it going there, Anton? How's it going there, Rasmus? How's it going there, Citrus? Hello, hello. So those who would like to join the multiplayer, who are already authorized, you can go ahead and jump in the channel here. I'm going to unmute myself there, and the password's in chat as usual. Rasmus, I spawned your new dump truck. It's over in the hangar, so that is all spawned up and ready to go get a little bit of mining done. Yep, so that's all set to go. Let's see, what do we got down here? We got the big white John down here. 785 should be up top. The rope shovel and the 6040 should be up top. We also have the semi-miner here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just fly up probably to the rope shovel. So if you guys want to join, I gotta still set some stuff up and technology, med, and everything else. So I'm just no clipping up here. All right, so I head over there to the rope shovel. Also have the ability to launch the what do you call it? The bulldozer if need be. Let me check real quick. If electricity's on, I'm gonna shut that off for now. See where fuel's at. I'm gonna quickly grab the fuel truck while I'm here and start getting some things fooled up. What are we on? We're there. Okay. Let us see. Aluminum fuel. Let's go ahead and do an add-on here to get the things fueled up. Figure that's gonna need to be done, so. That's not the one. This is the one right there. Okay, somewhere around here. I'll stick it right there. Hopefully that is set up for fuel. I think it is. I'm trying to think where I'm actually parked. I think we're parked further to the left there. I don't want to land this on top of things. That will cause problems. All right, let's go ahead and save that. So that should come up over here somewhere. Yep, okay, good. Make sure that we're actually full of... Perfect, good. We have diesel. We have diesel. We have a hose. Excellent. All right, so I'll get the new fuel truck going here. All right, so 785 is up here. We've got the rope shovel and the 6040 is up here. I get you, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, yeah. And I know there's a bunch of scrapers that they have, one forward and back. We'll do that. See, if we think it's this way is the filler. Let me check. Shall see. Interesting. So which friggin... I forget which way my valves go here. Gotta be this way then. Nope, it's going either way. What the Christ? Oh, straight. Something wrong with my fuel truck here? I'll look inside this and see what's up with the fuel tank. That's that one. This version of the rope shovel may not have the actual refueling hooked up. I hope it does, but it might not. It doesn't. Oh, shit. Okay. That's probably why infinite electricity was on. Yeah, that's why infinite electricity was on. Alright. That's not a big deal. Put that back on. The new version has it, but we'll just clear that out for now. Yep. Mm-hmm. Ah, that's weird. I'd have to look at it later. Yeah, I don't know. Then I got to try to fix this so that it can be heard on the stream. Let's see why are you doing this there, game? Alright, here we go. Gotta fix something in OBS. Say something real quick there, Rasmus.
Hello?
Okay, that's good. Yep, thank you. Yeah, OBS is a little bit weird. Every time I change a Discord channel, I have to change it on OBS for the audio to come in. Yep, Citrus just joined.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we have for spots here? We're gonna have to go hit that other shelf, I think, so might as well start moving that way.
Oh, you have both of the shovels on the same
Yeah,
shelf.
they got close to one another last time as we were starting to run low on spots.
I've been trying to run a stormworks server in a virtual machine, and something was wrong with the network settings, I guess, because it didn't work, but I will try get it to work later.
That'd be cool. Yeah, they changed it a while ago. They gave people a long lead up, and then you know, but I don't know how well it was documented what you had to do. But it was a Steam thing, you know. It was something Steam was changing that they had to kind of go with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit weird how you set it up. You run a Steam command with a few internal commands or whatever, and then it sets it up like an anonymous account somehow at Steam, and yeah, I'm guessing that it behaves like a real client, but only the server part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. My thought was that if I could get that to work, one could probably be on different parts of the world and it wouldn't lag.
Yeah.
I hope. And I don't think that workbenches would lag it out either.
Yeah, that would be good. That way I don't have to I can move around freely and not have to worry about screwing everybody up.
Yeah.
Some point,
So I thought-
Rasmus. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I thought that if I can get it to work, we could use it as a dedicated server.
Yeah, that would be fun. Good idea. The one thing we'll have to work on is soon is the navigation panel for the for Tethys and my boat stuff, because I want to stick it on the fishing boat too.
Yeah.
So I do a little lure. Learn me some lure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna move over. Are you guys heading up with dump trucks?
I am.
Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna move to this black patch. A little bit hairy over here, but if need be, I'll grab the D11 and help back. Yeah, I do have toe spots in the bottom of this. A little bit steep. This is fine. I'm over here. So the 785 is already up here. Rasmus bringing his dump truck.
Are the bucket loaded?
Is what loaded?
Have you ore in the bucket of that machine?
And yes, there's some in here.
The upper shelf.
Yeah,
the
but I'm
lower?
going down to the next shelf, so it doesn't really matter. There's two
Okay.
machines here. We're gonna run just the one, seeing there's not that many of us right now.
Yeah.
Stuck on the wall there. This spot's a little hairy here. Okay, you're right behind me. I see you. Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm
try
here.
to. This black spot's a little bit tough to work. Not too bad.
Speaking of Lua, I must have a look at how you can make some mods in Lua, because I think it would be beneficial to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing I'm looking. I would like to do with this nav panel. I think I've talked about it before, but like the so like I want it to be old school, kind of like almost like an FMS on an airplane. And so like one of the things you do is, you know, they're pretty basic. Again, you know, professionals don't need like the hand-holdy shit like moving maps and stuff. And so like what I'd like to essentially do is have it, you know, say like have 10 lines and then have line select keys. So like you select line 1. And then you have your keypad, and you would do the normal thing where you put a point on the map, and then it has the coordinates, and then you transfer that into memory registers for line 1. So when you select line 1, it would put it in memory register 1, and then you know, you put in your next waypoint, put it in line 2, 3, 4, 5, and then what that allows you to do is, like, say you want to move waypoints. You could select, you know, and then let's say we hit waypoint 1, it would automatically delete waypoint 1 and then move 2 through, say, 9 up. And so, you know, as it deletes the waypoint, and then you would be able to line select where, like, say you want to swap a waypoint, you could, you know, select it, delete it, or you could select it and move it. So kind of old school, like an FMS.
I would love a system like that. Can you reach me up here, or?
I'm gonna keep moving. I'm not full yet. So keep
Okay.
going until I'm full. Yeah, you can head up all the way up there. It's fine. Let's see if probably turn a little bit here anyway. There you go. All right.
Oh, it looked more hairy from a certain angle than
Yes.
it really was.
Yeah, it really
looked
isn't
like
that
you
bad. Like, it looks bad. Like, it's pretty steep, but it's like not that bad. You know, the center of gravity of these machines is so low. Like, this is just above the tracks too, so it's like, even though it's tall, it's like it's not going to tip over.
No, exactly. The machine that I'm building is also also have a very low center of gravity.
Nice. I'm full when you come on up to the left. You can
Coming?
stay. Yeah, I'll put it all the way out so you can see how far I can reach. Yep. Pressing the wrong button to stop rotating. I was like, why am I not stop rotating? Because I didn't press the right button.
Yeah, that would be why. Can you pull the bucket in?
Yeah. Just park where you're gonna park, and I'll put it to you.
I'll park here.
Okay, sounds good. Might just bump you to see, make it a little bit easier to see where I'm actually at. I'm just gonna put reduced particles on here. That'll help out with everything.
Yeah. IRL, they have some lines hanging down from the bucket, so
Yeah.
if they touch
It's kind of neat.
the truck, they know where they are.
Nice. It's funny, like some of those simple solutions, like in multi-engine, when you do your multi-engine training, they'll have a string, and the string will tell you where your essentially your relative wind is when you lose an engine.
Yeah.
Same thing on helicopters. Got this tiny little truck here. Spillage.
I mean, I could bring the big T-Rex, but you would complain about that as well.
What's the capacity of yours?
1250.
Copy. About 3 buckets. A little less than 3 buckets.
Yeah. That was the thing with this truck. I chose it because it wasn't enormous.
Yeah. Yeah, having more trips is good sometimes.
I think it was 34 tons or something IRL. So that machine should probably fill it up with in one go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like a 22-yard bucket, something like that, IRL.
Yeah, I have.
You're good where you are. You're good where you are. I can reach
Oh,
over
okay.
you.
Okay, good. I probably need a bigger main tank on air tank on this. I will probably hook up another one because it takes a while to release the brakes from handbrake mode.
Oh yeah.
Is it a quick thing on the truck, or does it take a while?
It's usually pretty fast. Depends. Like if you have when you have a set of doubles, that's usually when it takes the longest, and it's the back trailer that takes a little bit of time. But it's not long. It's like, and they'll drag. They'll come off partially, but they'll drag a little bit. So you just usually try to pull through it. Or like what I used to do is I'd release the trailers first. Like if I was getting ready to go and I was doing paperwork, I would release the trailers first and then just sit with the tractor, park brakes on. Then that way when I'm ready to go, like the tractor's almost instant, so you just, you get going and then the trailers are already off, so you just kind of sit with that.
I see. Okay, that reminds me of passenger trains. They normally, when they have stopped at the station, they release the train brake but keep the engine brake on.
Yeah.
And when it's time to go, they just release the engine brake and go.
Yeah, it's usually what you do with those systems. 'Cause it takes so long to go through, you might as well just have them You know, and if you're... Oh, what's going on here? What's that?
You're rolling backwards.
Yeah, I don't know why I was rolling backwards. The brake should auto come on. I'm just gonna pull up to the left here. I got that spot behind me, but I'm gonna cross it and then hit it from behind. Giggity.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this from the left now. Got a nice long reach, so that keep falling on my seat here. Yeah, it's got a nice long reach, so it can hit quite a few spots without having to move too often.
I have been thinking about space. If we collab on a space navigation system, basically. We know things like acceleration in meter per second. If you multiply that by a frame of a second, you have the speed, or the speed difference before and after.
Yeah.
Basically an integral.
Yeah, there was. I had already figured out. It was a simple conversion I figured out for the altitude. I think I did speed too. But the big thing is just you need to know, for example, let's say your heading is it's it's a 360 nav ball, but say that your heading is 180 and you're going 30 meters per second, you need to know to go to 360 to arrest that acceleration value. And then if you were heading 180 and you turn to 090 and thrust for a second, now your resultant vector is going to be more like, say, 165. So you need to know where that 165 is, so that when you want to stop, you would turn opposite 165, so you turn 345 to know to completely arrest your acceleration. Or your velocity, not really acceleration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, and that's why it's important to that's why in Kerbal you can easily dock and everything, because you have to keep turning to arrest your acceleration, and you can use RCS to do it. When you come up on the right side here, I'm about probably getting close to full.
Yeah.
See if the horn's working. I don't know if this version has the horn on it yet. Probably not.
Say when I should stop.
That's good right there. There you go. Trying to push you off.
No, please don't push me off. I'm thinking that with a laser targeting system and the radar and such, one should be able to determine the rotation speeds and position between two, let's say a space station and a docking craft.
Yeah. The way I would do it is if the space station would have an astronomy sensor on it and would broadcast it via radio, and then you would, or the new directional dishes, and you would, you would grab its position, and then you can, just do the angle to it.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the vector.
Anton, what are you doing to food? Look at chat. See what Anton's doing to food. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not this kind of. It's not that kind of show. Jesus Christ! Just eat the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm using you to close my hatch there. What's your current fill volume? You can stay there and check it. I gotta get a couple spots off the left here anyway.
Yeah, I don't have a fill meter. I really should have had one.
It doesn't want to turn uphill here.
476, but I'm not certain it has updated.
Okay, yeah, it probably isn't updated because I didn't fill the second one, but I filled the first one, so should be pushing close to 8, I'd say.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. Oh, now at 944.
That's good, yeah. I'll give you a quick bucket here and then
Sounds good.
problem, we spilled too much, that's when it's going to be Lake City, so let's see how we're doing on that. 34 frames, I'm happy. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry G. Glad you're enjoying it. Sergeant loves food, but not that much. Yeah, it's you gotta be like, it's not bad if you do a cold sandwich, but a hot meal is often dangerous. You gotta be careful. I'll give you this bucket, and then we'll slide citrus, and you can go do a dump.
Do you know if there is a ramp up on the shelf?
Yeah, I'll show you on the map here. You're gonna have a delay, but by. There is. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. That path there. It's not too bad, but try to keep the crane to a minimum today.
Yeah. I was jokingly thinking about having pivots that could raise the truck up from even upside down. So I just pressed the button if it ended up on my side or upside down.
He's going right now, Citrus.
Yeah, I'm full.
So if you head straight ahead, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to see the map, but if you look at the map, look at the map, and if you see just to the south of where we are, there's another tan patch, another dark patch. You should be able to head up around there. You should be able to hang a left there. And then if you go back the diamond northwest of Kepton, the actual labeled Kepton. But yeah, if you go to the southernmost patch there, you can head up. Just be careful going down that diamond, trying to keep this crane business to a minimum.
I haven't tested this much loaded, but it have a very low center of gravity, so
yeah, that's good.
It shouldn't be any problems, I hope.
Right underneath the bucket. Yeah, I put the sinking ship tutorial out yesterday, as people still can't figure it out. Again, a lot of people are just using hyperbole too. They're like, you can't sink ships, and what they should be saying is, you can't sink ships as fast as I would like you to. Because that's a whole different, that's a whole different thing. Is like, well, that's a balancing pass as opposed to, or a balancing thing as opposed to, like, you can't do something. You see this all the time. You can't cool into, well, it's a lot of work. It's like, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors with hyperbole. It's like, you need to, like, it's an engineering game. You need to specify the problem. It's like saying, my airplane won't take off. And, well, it takes off. It takes a lot of runway. Well, what are the engineers going to do then? Like, the engineers think your airplane doesn't take off at all is a different solution than my airplane uses up more runway than I think it should, And that's like, people need to learn that, like, when you're doing something specific like this with engineering, you got to be specific, It's like,
Yeah, as a software developer, I know exactly when someone say, "Oh, this doesn't work," and they think that I immediately know exactly what they mean.
yeah. You gotta be specific. If you want a specific solution, you gotta have a specific problem to articulate it. It's quite an annoying proposition because it's like, you get this all the time, and people are like, well, they don't cool as well as they should. It's like, well, that's a whole different problem than they don't cool at all, because they don't cool at all is wrong. Engines cool in game. They cool quite fine. It's like, you want to be able to go 40 RPS consistently at all times and be able to, never have to worry about overheating. That's what your goal is. So if you said that, somebody could probably come up with a system that would work, or they tell you it's impossible, you got to reduce your RPS, or change your expectations. But you get a lot of people in the community who will just like resort to hyperbole, and it's like, that is not helpful whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's
and
yeah. Go ahead.
And the thing that I think that the bigger engines really shouldn't rev so high.
Oh, agreed.
They don't do that IRL.
Yeah.
But that aside, you don't rev a big engine at a high RPS or RPM, whatever, because a lot of weight that is slung around.
Yep. You get the piston rods start, the rod pins start breaking, you go too fast. That's why, like, for a tractor, generally I wouldn't go over 1600 RPM, and that's pretty damn low for most applications of like cars, especially motorcycles. Like some of the new 400s coming out will rev to like 15 to 20,000, but the reason they can do that is they have a very short stroke, and they, they're made out of aluminum, and so they can go very, very fast, but they have a very short stroke, and so, the likelihood of breaking, a rod pin is very low. You have a big, heavy, hulking engine like on a ship or on a truck. The piston weighs an incredible amount, and you want it to change direction, instantly. Well, at one point it's going to be instant where it changes direction, and then it's going to break the pin. And so you slow down the engine. You have a big piston with a long stroke that goes relatively slow, and it doesn't break the pin, because as you start to add weight to these things, F equals ma. The more mass you add, the more force. The more speed, the more force, and you get in this problem where, you start adding titanium pins or steel pins, and then you're just adding to the mass and increasing the force, and so it becomes a friggin' arms race. Citrus, I'm full here.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like when people want their 5x5 to do 30 RPS, it's not going to happen, dude. It's like, that's not the point. The point of a 5x5 is to run at 3 RPS, and you can do that because you gear it up, and you gear, so now whatever you're turning is turning very fast, but the engine itself is turning very slow because the mass of the engine is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Motorcycle, like the piston on a motorcycle is tiny, and you can hold it in your hand, and it's made of aluminum, it's light, so it can move incredibly fast.
I mean, if you listen to a moped or a truck or a train, you can hear the difference in.
Yeah, it's like when people say, "Oh, all the engines in games sound like weed whackers." No. They sound like weed whackers because you're running it at the RPS a weed whacker would run at. Like if you ran it at the RPS that it should be at, it would sound like a normal engine. And you do that with gearing. A weed whacker doesn't have it. It's got one final drive gear on it essentially, and so it's going to run, full out the entire time. Yeah,
When I played War Thunder a while back with a friend, I said, "There's a lawnmower on the other side of this building," and he listened and said, It sounds like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
It was some small, tiny tank. I don't remember what, but it sounded like a lawnmower.
Same, I was writing a quick message. Alright.
I met with a classical Swedish weather. Like 2 weeks ago it was below 0, now it's 25 plus.
Yeah. That's how it is here on the East Coast. Like the Northeast is get that quick weather changes, and it's like, you know, we had. Press the tracks button here. Switch to tracks. There we go. You know, we had like 80s, and then it was 50s again, and it's like, ugh. You know, we had sunny 80s, and now it's like 50s, and I had all the windows open. I spent like a whole day freezing because I was like the day before I'd open up all the windows, and the day before that I opened up all the windows. So I just woke up and opened up all the windows, and I'm like, why am I cold? And it's like, because I didn't actually look at the weather. I just opened the windows. You might get asked here in a second, Citrus. There you go.
I thought this was a family-friendly.
I know, Anton
channel.
already started his strange eating habits.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have to put tippable lights on the arm there so it can spot right where the bucket goes.
Yeah, I did that on my machine. It's a good idea, I think. Not on the arm itself, but on top of the cab and on the front.
Yeah, there's a couple on this one. They're supposed to be right in the front by the cab. It's supposed to be big tiltable spots. I'm just like, I had no desire to like do finish work on any of these builds. Like right now, it's like, started like one night trying to get in the cockpits and work on them. Like, ugh, I don't want to do cockpit work.
Yeah, I mean, how many vehicles have unstarted and not finished? It's ridiculous.
Started doing a little finish work on the D11 just because it's easy relatively, but I was gonna do a Lua panel and like just gonna convert my I have one that it's speed, depth, RPS or RPM. No, speed, depth. What is it? Heading. So I was gonna convert it to speed, RPM, so temp probably for the D11.
Yeah.
Wrong controls here. There we go.
I mean, with that said, before I ran any career mode at all, I was worse at building vehicles because I realized, okay, this time I really needed refuel anchor.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm basically stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
And
you get so many people that they never touch career, and then it's like, you know, and they wonder why some of their vehicles are kind of wonky. It's like you learn a lot of what you actually need when you like make it go do the job it's supposed to do, you know?
Yeah. On this truck you even have a fill meter above the anchor. It had that IRL, so I thought it was a neat touch.
Yeah.
Not exactly the exact position where it is, but I put it where I thought it was. It looked better.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly go grab a coffee. I'll be right back while this is drilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my magic juice back here, so we're good.
Nice.
He had started making a new pot too. But I had try very hard not to put the cold, because I leave the coffee pot in the fridge for cold coffee, and then I go to hot. I make sure I warm it up with water, because I'd cracked one 6 months ago. It was like 30-something bucks to buy a new pot. I don't want to thermal shock it. Right side, Citrus.
I'm unloading my truck.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was for Citrus.
Yeah.
It's sliding a lot. What? Your the truck? Okay, well go left then. That's fine. I'm good and stable. Just go. Yep, you can go to the left of me then. Better safe than than craning.
Yeah.
This is clusterfuck mine, so got a little bit of weirdness. Yeah, go to the left here. Go uphill. That way, like if you slide in the side of me, you're not gonna knock me off. Okay, stand by. Just stay there. Okay. Here, we'll bring in the D11. Let's see. Edit this. I actually wanted an excuse to bring in the D11, so. Oh, it's got the PID tuner on it. That looks donkey. Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Press the wrong button 900 times every time. Here we go. Trying to, like, come up with a naming scheme here so it doesn't get like 5 million. Alright, there's the D11. I'll go grab it and pinch off. Why am I way deep in the tracks? Could be on a piece of block. I don't know why I'm so deep in the tracks here. There we go. Alright, get in there, you scum. There we go. Alright, we'll tie you off. That way, you won't go anywhere. I'll tow you around. I'll put you in the flat, because I can actually move up to almost the flat anyway and dump you and still drill. Got the PID tuner sitting on top there. It doesn't matter. We get infinite electricity right now. That's actually a good thing. We'll get to use the D11 now. Why don't you, actually, I'll do it. It's fine. Actually gonna pull you up the hill first with this in place. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. Just hang there. Hopefully that's within 40. I think it probably is. Let's dump the hose here. Be gone, hose. There we go. All right. There's the hose running away. Oh, stop. It was funny when I did, I think it was the Mac wrecker, because the tires are so gripped up and it has so many tires that putting the friction blocks down actually gives it less grip than having it not. All right, you can take the brake off now. That's the whole point of the D11 was so that it could help stabilize things in these cliffs. Oh, I have you still roped into me. I was like, why can I not pull up? It's like I still have you roped into me. You just hang, I'll be able to drag you. Alright, you just hang there for a sec. I'm gonna dump. And then I'll end up moving this up a little bit and then make it easier to get it repositioned. D11 is working out nicely. Wanted a reason to have a bulldozer. Looks like that would be a good one.
I'm empty, I'm coming back.
Alright, sounds good. Yeah, stand by. I'm gonna move up just a hair. There we go. Interesting. Restream's not updating. Let me look real quick. It's not that far behind, but it's a little bit behind. Go. Let's go ahead and hang there for a second as I'll let this drill and I'll go move the D11 a little bit. It's a good anchor. The tracks tend to anchor pretty well. my move forward, and then I'll grab that D11. I'll just move you all the way up to the flat here. Might as well just continue the flat. You don't need to hit every spot. Especially the ones like at the beginning that we hit. At the beginning the last time are probably close to being refilled anyways. So I might as well just keep going to the flat instead of running the dangerous shit. There's a lot of flat stuff up here. So let's just hit this. That way this will be out of the way too, so I can get the D11 right across. Just give you some drive commands too while I'm towing. Yeah, I don't know, Sergeant, what train, which one you should do. Should have is it update week? It must be update week next week. Be interested what they have for next week. Probably some fixes.
I think so, I don't know.
Yeah, probably some fixes, but I don't know what else. Like, they've been doing a pretty good job surprising, like, some of those minor updates, too. Like, you know, we got pitchable props, we got... what else we got recently? We got a bunch of cool stuff. Pitchable props, the gimbal cams, I think is still fantastic. Bunch of little stuff like that. Quality life stuff has been good. Like, even, like, I like the non-rotation, the editor, like... Some people complain about it, but, like, one thing that I really liked... Alright, so just let me pull you up. Then, we'll get you over here, and then I can just move and dump to the back. Got my pit tuner sitting on the top of this. Looks funky. Alright, let's go ahead and...
Something I really want in this game is real hydraulics.
Yes. They'll do, yeah, release the park brake. Yeah, that was good. Alright, when you put it in third gear, and just leave it in third gear, and if I need you to power, you can power, but that will max out your speed. It's the auto clutch is gonna release the clutch anyways until you give it power, but yep, this is working well. This is the whole point of the D11 is to do this sort of stuff.
I just scared the shit out of myself. I had what is it called when you press Alt and arrows or something? Offsetted, basically.
Yeah.
The
best laxative scaring the shit out of yourself.
Yeah. So when I came to the edge, okay, I could pull the throttle all the way down, but the brakes wouldn't come on.
Yeah.
So.
Why don't you get some pictures of this citrus while you're sitting there? Good for the multiplayer screenshots.
I put 2 screenshots in already.
Nice. Citrus, you can give it a little bit of left steer and a little bit of power. That'll just help the front axles come up the hill there. Perfect. This does a pretty goddamn good job of dragging stuff. for its size. Like, it was tough to get, like, this only weighs like 5,000 something. I was trying to get its weight up to, like, if I could get it to 20, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
But as you know, I'd have to XML a rocket fuel to get it in that heavy. Alright, I'm gonna do this whole wall section, so I'm gonna just park you, and then you can go AFK. It'll be where it needs to be. So that should be pretty good right there. Alright, you set the brake. Nice. Nice, nice, nice.
I think it was fun when I wrote in vehicle showcase chat on Discord that I was building a twin engine 3-axle dump truck after I had presented the T-Rex Titan, and people thought, oh my god, that will be huge.
Yeah.
No, it's not that huge.
Yeah.
It's this little machine. So I'll park here and you can tell me when you require my service.
I like these wall spots because that's actually what the rope shovel's supposed to be doing, is mining wall spots.
Yeah. Beatrice has left the building.
Yeah. In true fashion of clusterfuck mining, everybody goes on break.
Yeah.
The only downside of being a commercial pilot is you get a lot of breaks, but they are unpaid.
I see.
Yeah, it's Railway Labor Act, which is a fucked up act where like you only get paid when the parking brake's released. Same thing with flight attendants. So like if you did 2 hours of flying, you get paid for 2 hours, then you sit for 4 hours, you don't get paid, and then you fly for another 2 hours. That's why the hourly pay rate is very high. Like, that was back when we were fighting for better pay when I was first in the airlines. People were like, oh, that's good money. Like, you're making $32 an hour. It's like, yeah, but I worked 8 hours today, and I made 4 hours of pay. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like, you need the higher hourly rate. You know, and then the truck driver making $45 an hour, and you sit for 2 hours, you get paid for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's, for us, for our operation. So like when a airline pilot's making $250 an hour, they might work 4 hours that day. It's still good pay, but the other thing too is you're limited to 30 hours a week. So you're only and that doesn't mean you're only at work for 30 hours a week. You're gone. You could be gone for 4 or 5 days, and you're just getting paid for 30 hours of it.
Were hotel rooms and such paid for, or was that?
Yeah, they
to
provide
pay
all
for?
that.
Yeah.
Food, you get per diem, so you have to pay for your food, but you get I don't know what it is now. Like, I could look it up, but like I think our per diem was like a couple bucks an hour. So if you're somewhere for 14 hours, you get $30 per diem. And that offsets the food cost.
Yeah.
So I get like $500 a month in per diem. And then it's a pain in the ass because like the government, like when you do your taxes, the government pays a hell of a lot better for per diem than most private companies. So when you like say you got paid $500 a month and it should have been like $1,000 a month, you can write off the $500, in your taxes, but it's again you're getting whatever it is 20-30% of 500 back. You know, it's not great. You know.
Yeah.
And it's a pain in the ass. You gotta do, like, you have to do half-day counts, and it was absolutely a pain in the ass. They started making some apps that weren't too bad. You just enter it all in, but... Where is my sweatshirt? Where is my sweatshirt? There it is.
I was wondering, when you're a flight crew of any type, and you go to different places in the world, do you have to take like preemptive medicine against certain? There are differences in food. I mean, in bacteria, on bacteria level, not just taste, but.
Yeah, they were like, I never did like deep international stuff. I did just Mexico, Canada. Well, like if you were going certain places, you know, you'd probably want your vaccinations up. Whatever the State Department would say, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, it was $500 a month for per diem. So like they would, you know, you get per diem per hour for however long you're in that city. So like if we had an overnight in D.C. You know, you get whatever it's gonna be. So it ended up being like $500 a month in per diem. Well, like, you know, the thing of it is you couldn't just go to your fridge and get food. You had to like go to a restaurant. So every one of your meals was pretty much eating out, you know, when you were in the airline. So it was like, you want breakfast, you know, you want like, you know, people will make these stupid ass jokes about like, oh, you know, younger people are poor because they go out for coffee. But it's like, you know, it's like when you're in the airlines, it's like if you want a coffee in the middle of the day, you can't go home and get it. You're 1,000 miles away from home. You have to go wait in line at the airport. And then the other thing too is, oh shit, am I crashing? I might be crashing here. Yep, just crashed. Let me see if it will come back. It might not. Let me check my processes. Did I did something, though, on my PC when it happened. So, let's see if it comes back. I did something on my PC when it happens. So, I don't know if it's something I did or if it's the game. Are you guys crashing, Rasmus?
No, I can still do things with my vehicle. I'm steering the wheels now to see it's reacting.
Let me see what's going on here.
Let's have a look if I'm... It says I'm only 5 or 6 frames off.
Okay. Because I'm trying to see if it'll come back. Because I accidentally tabbed into something and now... Processes are not frozen up though, so I'm trying to see if it will come back. I don't think it will. Might have to drop it. Yeah, nothing spiked out really hard, but I tabbed and then it didn't like it.
Yeah, I wonder what's happening on Windows when you use tab, because many games have problems with that.
Yeah.
And one would think that after this long time they should have fixed it.
Yeah, it's... hopefully it's... Yeah, I think it's... See, this is the other thing, is like people blame games for this stuff too, and Windows has been really funky lately with tabs. It's been screwing a bunch of shit up. And it's like... I have like... What do we got? 5... Gmails or 5 Google tabs open, Paint, OBS. OBS can screw things up pretty well. All right, I'm gonna close it out because I think we're gonna be screwed here.
Should I log out before or?
No, don't worry about it. It's gonna bring it back to the. I have to reboot it anyway.
Yeah.
So why is the display cap's not even on? Why is it doing that? That's weird. Oh, it was doing the last screen. So let's boot that back up.
Yeah. Disconnected from the server.
Yeah. We could go fishing if you guys want. You want to go fishing?
I rather do mining.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. We'll go back. Load that back in. I'll respawn your truck.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a super long stream today anyway, but we'll keep going for a little while. All right. So you should be able to. Shit. Did I load it as? I can't remember if I loaded it as a multiplayer or not. How's it going there, Paul? How are you? I'll make it the same password. I gotta look at that. Yeah, OBS froze chat too, so I wonder if it was OBS that actually caused the crash, because OBS froze chat a while ago, so that could have done it.
It might very well be.
So OBS was acting a little bit weird. That's often like when you tab out or go in a program that's not having a good time, and then it freaks. Might start running the 6040 for a little bit. Play with that some.
Yeah.
All right. Quickly tab over and. Okay, good. I did save it. So your truck's already pre-spawned.
Nice.
I think I'm going to grab the 6040. We'll run the 6040 for a little bit. And on, that's on. Okay. Just give me their staircase. Then you go up. Paul, you're good to join if you'd like to. It's up to you, though. It'd be nice to get the latest versions of these vehicles up too. So maybe next time what we'll do is we'll do the train business, because that way they'll give me an excuse to get all the vehicles updated to their new versions. Maybe I can actually get some work done on the 6495 and the 6040. But happy with the D11s. Was working well there to help drag Citrus out of harm's way.
That's nice.
Yeah, I wanted a bulldozer. I'm like there's no use for it. And that's the problem. Is I was like, I need some sort of use for it, you know, to spend the time to build it. And so like it's actually a really pretty good tow vehicle. It's compact, tows well. It's funny, it looks small too next to all this stuff, and the the D11 is huge. It's like all this stuff is huge. It just looks so tiny because it's like other stuff is much bigger.
Yeah, some things are huge and some are bigger than huge.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Paul. I hadn't switched it over yet. I had to get through the password and everything before I did it. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. I should have told you. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I just got back in the game too. It wasn't that long.
At least I had the chance to offload about 1,000 ore before we crashed.
Yeah, it's not saved though.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the feeling.
Yeah. Progress is all that we need. Yeah, the money doesn't make much difference anyways. Felt like I had the $2 million loan I took there anyway. So there's a spot for fishing of Labras, which I was testing, that's reasonably close, and the Labras is $2.50 a fish, so that's really good profit out there. I was doing some testing on my career game, and I need to increase the fuel cap on the ship because it, I use up about half the fuel going out there and fishing for half the time, so I want to have some actual time to sit out there and fish.
Yeah. Which of the buckets do you like best?
What do you
The
mean,
excavators.
which vehicle?
Yeah.
I like the rope shovel just because it's more like it's more skill based. You gotta kind of swing it and do some other things, but they have I try to make them so they have their own strengths, and I kind of pick vehicles that have strengths and weaknesses. So it's like the nice thing with the 6040 is it's more compact, so it's a little bit easier to get into some of these tighter areas. Overall I probably like the rope shovel more just because it takes some more skill to run.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I did like steam locomotives and train simulator better than diesel locomotives or electric, because diesel and electric, on diesel you start the engine and you release the brakes and push forward and it goes. On a steam locomotive you have something called a reverser. It's a lever or some other mechanism to control how much steam goes into the cylinders, and the more steam you put in, the stronger it gets. But when you come up to speed, it cannot keep up doing it because it cannot boil water in fast enough. So you have to regulate the reverser all the time when you're going. So if you're going downhill, you have to regulate it one way, and uphill another way. Otherwise you lose speed, or in worst case scenario you stall out.
Yeah. That's like, it's a lot of people would jump, especially in this game, like right to like, oh, make everything super automated and simple, and then they wonder why they're bored. It's like so much of that is like when you're, I've done machine operation pretty much my whole life, and it's like the more complicated the machine, you start getting good to it, and the complexity to you goes away. But what it does is it makes it rewarding that you've gotten good at this thing, and that's where a lot of people who've like never operated machinery much don't get. It's like when you jump in a vehicle and it does everything for you, it's like you're bored because you're sitting there watching it. It's like the the airlines was some of the most boring flying I did, because it's like you literally at 200 feet you can put the autopilot on, and so like now you're just turning knobs instead of actually flying and feeling the airplane and seeing what the wind's doing, and it's hand flying is a lot more fun than sitting there and being a passenger. And so it's like a lot of people lose that, and it's, you know, they don't understand that. And it's why they get bored with some of the stuff. Is it's like part of that complexity is what makes it interesting, and it informs like some of the things you do. If you have to go in and do a big, elaborate startup procedure, you only want to have to do that once. So, you know, oh shit, am I dumping? Okay, shit. It is. I thought the auto shut off on this version is not working. So okay, trying to get too many of those going at once.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that is rewarding with automation from my point of view is that I actually managed to achieve something like a good automatic gearbox. Like on my tanks, where I can go uphill even though it's very steep, and then go fast on a flat surface, and it what do you want to call it, feels out the vehicle and do basically what one would do oneself. But that's another thing. That's the reward of if someone else drove the vehicle, it wouldn't be as interesting for them.
Yeah, exactly. That's like Paul's talking about, like, you know, manual transmissions more engaging and fun than automatic, and, you know, hand flying a plane VFR is a lot more interesting than sitting on the autopilot. Like, you know, the autopilot's there for workload reduction. You know, it's so that the two of you can pay attention to more things, and, you know, when you're flying commercially, you got a lot more shit to pay attention to, so it's like, you know, the autopilot helps take some of that off you. You know, they used to have, pretty recently, you had, like back when I was first starting, you know, you could still get jobs as a flight engineer, you know, and so they, you know, you had three pilots in the cockpit, you know, and you needed them, you know, and, you know, before that you would have, you know, captain, first officer, flight engineer, and navigator, you know, you needed all those, and so it's like, you know, the a lot of that stuff is like needs to be seen as workload reduction, where like, you know, new navigation systems are like, they're just workload reduction for the two pilots so they can pay attention to other things like traffic and you know, fuel planning and stuff like that. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, here I am. I delivered newspapers with the help of a car. I just it was 1 week or something, and then I realized that a automatic gearbox on that car made very much sense because you had so much other things to do. So that was a workload reduction.
That's like on you know, with shifters, like yard shifters for tractor trailer, a lot of them are automatic, and part of it is, you know, you've got to raise the boom, you've got to attach and detach the lines all the time, so it's good to have some of that workload reduction where you know, you don't have to worry about that while you're just trying to, you know, do the other things. And it's like certain times these things make sense, and certain times it's like, but it's still, it's like, it's kind of boring, you know, but you don't, at that point you've got other things that you're doing that's constantly engaging. You know, so it doesn't really, you know, doesn't bother you as much. So you go forward a little bit.
Should I go forward?
No, I'm going forward. So I gotta hit this patch. My arm won't reach if I don't go forward. That's funny, the size difference. Like, put the buckets about as big as the bed of your truck. I'm gonna hit a quick save on this here. Save a little bit more frequently, that way we get backed up.
Yeah.
How's it going there, Martin? How are you? Yeah, it's funny. The truck is like, does, you know, is pretty big as it is, but like you put it next to something and it's like scale wise.
Yeah, I mean, you're standing beside the wheel and you realize, okay, the wheel is higher than I am,
Yeah.
and then that bucket is like huge.
Yeah, I'll have to do my video on hydraulic pneumatic update at some point.
Yeah.
I took a little break from tutorials and stuff. I'm kind of getting back on that and some of the other stuff I've been wanting to work on, so it'd be kind of good. Yeah, the algorithm, it's funky. The YouTube algorithm's a pain in the ass because it was like, because I've been doing so many live streams and fewer regular videos, like YouTube's like not suggesting my stuff, and then I did a couple tutorials and now I'm getting a lot of comments because it's starting to suggest my videos again, so it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, the algorithm.
Yeah.
But again, that's the difference between being a job and a hobby. Is like I don't really give a shit too much because it's a hobby, not a job. Where if it was a job, you'd have to do a bunch of stuff you don't want to do. All right, when you pull up here, another dump. This one drills pretty fast. This one has more drills and faster, but smaller capacity.
How many drills do you have?
This one I think is 4 or 5 drills in here. All right, when you go right into that.
Yep, I'm coming. I think I'm too far away.
That's all right. I'll figure it out. I'm just gonna touch it to feel it. Nope, you're good. It's got a good bounce on this. I can should be able to bounce it off there reasonably. Let's see. Nope, right in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I set it up so that they ramp and they bounce on both of them, so I can use the hatches or the back plate on this to kind of angle it a little bit. I can just kind of send them a little bit further, send them closer. Like there's one stuck in there, but it's like I can just tilt it, and it'll tip in. There you go.
Like the cars with what's it called? You know, the suspension that bounces around. The cars that you can jump.
Yeah, like Duke is saying, the reason it never gets around an auto transmission is more fun to do a manual. It's like, that's why I don't build any. Like, I should do it. I've done auto transmissions before. Like, my car tutorial shows part of it is me showing how to make it into an automatic transmission. But, it's like, for me, the other thing, too, is like, if people will learn how a manual works and when to shift a manual, you then can program your own automatic. And so, like, I tried in my tutorials, one of the reasons why they're so long is I would rather teach somebody how something works so they know how to fix it and can kind of come up with their own ideas than to just be like, plug A into B, then move on. Then you don't know how it worked, but now it worked. Because then you get 200 questions about like, oh, I did everything the way it showed it, and then it's not working. Like, well, you didn't. I can see right here you didn't do everything, which is understandable. You missed something, but it's like if you understand the why of the thing, then you can now customize it how you want, and it's like, my auto clutch, it simulates what you would do as a real driver, and it's like if you had to do a manual clutch, as far as I'm concerned, it's more a pain in the ass in game than it's beneficial because you don't have the feel, and so the auto clutch kind of simulates some of what, it's feeling it out for you because you can't literally feel what's doing. But it's a hell of a lot more interesting, I think, to do a manual transmission and understand that, especially like I love building the small, weak motors where you have to shift down or else you're gonna stall, and it's a lot more fun to me than my big stuff that has like torque for days and you never need a shift, It's kind of boring.
Yeah. I actually am surprised that this truck is so powerful. I mean, it have 2 engines, but they are 1x1s, 6 cylinders each. Are you going to bump?
No.
Good.
Now that I roll a little bit.
So, are you sure? No, you're
yeah,
bumping.
you got a little bump there, but I'm just trying to. I'm trying to get it where I can hit this patch too. So I'm kind of rotating at the same time. I'm doing it. You're not going to get pushed off. Is the main thing.
Yeah. So I'm very surprised that they are so strong. Probably are too strong. I could reduce. I have a setting basically. I could reduce the amount of power they make. Would make it more fuel efficient and require the gears.
There's no map editor, Martin. I wish there was a map editor. There is not, though, unfortunately. It's just seed-based, so like some of those islands move around. You can make stationary bases, but you got to buy an island, like say this one, and then you can put a stationary base in. But if you do a stationary base, you get infinite electricity. So, it's you know, I would love a map editor. Like my big thing is, I would love to put these little islands, even if they're pre-made. Like I would like to put them all over. Like you got a lot of people bitching right now that, oh my god, the fishing's so far away. There are plenty of spots close. You know, we have this big map and like everything's concentrated. I would love to see an expansion where like, you know, where you had a reason to go to some of these places, and that's, you know, the fishing's kind of good for that. Is it gives you a reason to get out there. Again, my kind of notion, which I'm going to make a video for the devs at some point, because they did ask for some ideas and they were receptive last time. And like, I think it would be good if you could, if they could add a couple static islands way the hell out there, because it's like, you know, in an airplane things are really quick, in a helicopter things are really quick, and so you can go take the proper vehicle, fly like a little bush plane into a short grass strip on this tiny little island, and then, you know, spawn your fishing boat there. And that would make it closer to those spots, and it would give you a reason to go. And then I would make it so that you don't, for example, have a fish cellar. So, like, you have a fish cellar at FJ, you have an airport at FJ, beautiful. So now take an island, you know, it can be as big as this, it doesn't have to be enormous, and put it way the hell out here. There's a bunch of fishing areas over here. Put the island out here. And then that gives you a reason to jump in your airplane, fly 200 knots out to the island, spawn your boat, fish, bring them in. Well, oh, where do I sell the fish? Well, what do? You load them onto an airplane. Load them onto an airplane, fly the airplane back to FJ, then offload to sell the fish. That's much more interesting. It gets a bunch of vehicles in. Oh, okay, we're spilling here. It's engaging. And that way, you know, we get to actually have a reason to use this big map. You know, just pull straight ahead.
Yep.
Don't dump this way.
As soon as my handbrake is off.
Not crooked sideways, straight ahead was what I meant. I said straight ahead. It's fine there. Should be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I think this will be fine.
I can't curl anymore, that's the problem. We're gonna spill like crazy here. That's why I want to use straight ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna close it. We're just gonna spill like crazy here. Let me see if I can tip it. There we go. Better. We'll have to see how many you got in you. You're probably pretty full now.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, I think I got the auto off on the new version of this. This doesn't auto off.
Yeah, I'm basically full.
Okay. What the hell? Pushing the wrong buttons. There we go. Yeah, that's what I would like to see. Is like put some little islands out there. You know, people have been asking for a jungle biome. I think they could put a couple tropical islands out there. A little bit of jungle dress up would be kind of nice to see. But like, it doesn't have to be big. And personally, I like to lean on a more realistic island. Like some of these, like I get it. This was from early, like some of these islands. But like, I would like to see kind of like a cool little village island with a tiny little grass strip with just a little tiny little hangar. And I would love to see a tiny little hangar. Like one of my favorite spots right now is this North Meyer outpost. You can spawn a little airplane here. You have the little garage. Like do an outside airplane spawn on a grass strip. And so, you fly from FJ out to the fishing island. You go out there, you hit all the fishing spots. Now, the people who complain that, oh my God, it's so far away, can stop doing that. And then they can spawn their boat and go fishing. And then come back in, load it into their airplane. And then fly it back to FJ, fly it back to wherever. I think that would be fun. And that would start to get us into airplanes a little bit more. Like, you can still use airplanes, but like a lot of it is kind of not necessary. Kind of putting a little necessity in there is always nice. And then like having the same type of tiny little island over here, would be cool. Have a tiny little island up over here. So this is more Arctic themed. This is more temperate. Then have a jungle one. And it would give you kind of a cool reason to use this whole big map that we have. And then you'd fly from island to island. You'd be able to put missions on there. Stuff like that I think would be cool.
That or a map editor would be.
Yes. Yeah, I would like a map editor.
Then we could put the islands wherever we wanted ourselves.
Yep. Yeah, because like on this seed here that I've been using, one of the reasons I like why I keep using the seed is I put them way down here for cap air, because for cap air I wanted a reason to go to the different places to fly to. And I wanted southern islands that gave me a reason to go up to the Arctic. It was like this is stupid here, like frankly. Like this seed here, you see how close these are? It's like they're both airports within like spitting distance of each other. And then this is right on top of it. Like there are cool POIs. Like this is the power plant. Like put the power plant way the hell out here. And put this one way the hell out here, and put this one way the hell out here. And then you have this island here, another airport that's all within spitting distance. And like for some, some people love to have that, like one of the islands. Oh, look, one of the islands right here. That's cool. And like I see I think the opposite personally. But it's like I would like the island far flung, so I have a reason to fly out there. It's not far. Like each of these squares is 32 kilometers. So it's like from here to like here would be 64 kilometers. I don't even know what that is in miles. I gotta do it in nautical miles. Let's see. KM to nautical. Let's see. So let's say 64. So we're talking 34 nautical miles. If you're going 200 knots, that's 0.17 hours. So 10 minutes. Literally, it would take you 10 minutes at 200 knots to go from FJ to here. All right, that's perfectly reasonable. Double that, a 20-minute flight. That's I think, something cool and interesting to do. Now you have a reason to have cargo planes that can take pallets of fish. And like a lot of people, like, they don't realize that the complexity is what makes things interesting. They cry and complain that they got to do more than one step. It's like, that's what makes it fun, is like building an airplane that is purpose-built to fly from FJ and to head over to this special island. It's a short runway, so you need an airplane that can take off in a short runway. That you can do it. I've demonstrated multiple times how you do it. Flaps actually work. Doing stuff like that really helps and works. We have no problem in game of taking off in incredibly short distances. And so, like, taking off of FJ, heading out to this little airport with a tiny grass strip, coming in on a challenging approach between some hills with some trees, and you have to put it down and stop the airplane quickly. That's part of the fun, is engineering the things in. You get that done, you land your airplane, you then spawn your boat, you go out fishing, you come back. You have a forklift with a pallet with hoppers on it. You offload your boat using a crane that actually picks up the fish, picks up a hopper full of fish, dumps it into the pallet. Or you drop the pallet down onto the deck, you hand fill the pallet, then you raise the pallet back up on deck. And now you take your forklift and you drive the pallet over to the airplane and put it on the airplane. Then you fly the airplane over here to FJ, you taxi the airplane, you then grab your forklift, you take the pallet off, go over, sell the fish. That is much more engaging. Now, people are going to complain, oh, you don't make enough money for that. Dude, you know, it's like, one, you don't need that much money. Two, not everything's about money in life and in game. Like, a lot of it is, you know, you should be doing what's more fun per hour than what makes money, because, like, the thing that makes you the most money is turning on infinite money. And that's boring, right? You know, you can go, you know, people have say, herder, look, I found this money hack. I just dragged the fuel hose from, you know, from here to here, and I get infinite money. Yay. I buy diesel here and sell it for 300. You know, for $1 more, I just drag a hose all the way, or I run back and forth. It's like, those are boring, the little money hacks. Actually taking the time and playing with the builds you've spent time building is what's fun. You know, of course, it's all personal preference, but, you know, that's kind of the interesting, and that's the point. And, you know, the devs have stipulated that was what their goals are for the game. That's what their points are in the Q&A. Oh, we have a new Q&A coming up soon here, too.
Yeah, when was that?
29th to 30th, I think. I'll have to look it up. But, you know, that's what, like, Deltars talks about, is like, he doesn't want to add new things that don't add complexity and are interesting. And I'm happy they do that. Is the complexity and the engineering is what their goal is. Like, the people who love to just download shit from the workshop and never build a day in their life, that's perfectly fine, but that's not who the game is made for, specifically. Well, let's not put it that way. That's not what the game's intention is. If you want to play it that way, that's fine, but that's not what the purpose of the game is. You know, and that's been stipulated by the devs multiple times, is the reason he said he doesn't add gasoline engines is it wouldn't be different enough and interesting enough to do that. There's no reason to do it, you know, because, one, they're kind of a hybrid anyway, but it's also like there's not really a lot of difference in there, so there's no point, one, in doing all the work to just have a label on there that says, ooh, this gasoline engine. You know, because, like, say, for example, you had to actually build your engines, like, more complexly. Like, you could tune bore and stroke. You would have to blow fuel in. You'd have to change your fuel injectors. You know, you'd have to actually do engine timing. Like, that would interest me a lot if you could actually make custom engines. But, you know, that's not what we have, and for balance reasons, you know, it make the game even more unapproachable to people with less knowledge in these departments. But the devs want to add things that add to complexity and make interesting engineering. They're more interested in a complexly engineered machine, not something super simple. And I'm glad that's their focus. You know, and so it's like some of this stuff, unless it really adds to that gameplay, you know, it's probably not, it won't get in, you know.
Yeah, I think that the Steam train wheels are a bit too simplistic, but otherwise, I mean, it's a good balance.
Yeah.
But that's essentially the same as an engine.
Yeah.
If you look on the side of a steam engine, you see that you have very many rods and pistons and such that moves back and forth all the time.
Yeah. You know, it's like there's always a balancing thing, and to a certain extent, you know, it's balance is all about compromise, and it's a and, you know, nobody's ever happy in a compromise. That's the point of compromise is, you know, you get a little bit of what you want, but you don't get everything what you want. So nobody is ever really satisfied in a compromise, but that's what balancing is all about. It's like, there was a comment from Mountain View, you know, on one of my videos, you know, it was the sinking ship is thinking that, oh, the doors on top and bottom should sink faster. You know, IRL, it would sink like a stone. Yes. But again, that's not the point. The point was the developers were trying to make it so we could have moon pools, and they have to think about the lowest common denominator. They have to think about some 8-year-old kid who has no physics knowledge, who wants to play the game, and they want to make it approachable for them. Like, personally, you know, I don't care, because, you know, I'm not that 8-year-old kid. I don't need the game to be that simplistic. I can be complex, but I don't have to worry about paying the bills and keeping the lights on, you know, if the game doesn't succeed. They do. And I do care about the game succeeding, so like I would rather like the game not be as complex if to make sure the game stays viable and survives, you know. And so for example, why do I think the devs balanced it so that if you have doors on the top and the bottom, the flow rates are greatly reduced in water? Well, I think it was for one, moon pools, so that you can have moon pools. And you know, could you still have moon pools and make the flow rates very fast? Yes, but the problem becomes this, and this is where I think a lot of people miss why the devs did these balancing things, is let's say that you have a moon pool in your ship. In order to keep that water from coming in, you have to pressurize the air in that room. All right, so now you have to put an airlock in the room. And if you watch like the comments section, how many people are struggling having to make airlocks? There's a lot of people who have no clue how to make an airlock. They don't know how the principles of an airlock. They don't know how to set up the logic so that it will test the barometric pressure inside and outside and make a PID-controlled system that will automatically pump in and out or valve in and out to maintain a consistent pressure across the two rooms. And that's what you have to do to make that system work. And so to make it more simplified and approachable, which again they have to worry about to make sure the game stays viable to enough number of people that the game doesn't die, you have to you make it so that the water flow is slow enough that if you open the door between room A and B, when they first came out with pressurization, things were a hell of a lot more difficult and more realistic than they are now to a certain extent, where you would get blown halfway across the map and die because of a huge pressure differential. And so that's kind of cool, but it makes it super unapproachable to a bunch of people, where if they accidentally do something that changes the pressure in their room, you now have to worry about, if you open that door, you're going to die. And now you're dead in your game, and it becomes frustration, not fun. And so one of the things they did was they greatly slowed gas and fluid transfer. And part of it is, if you open the door to your moon pool and there's a big pressure differential, guess what? The water's coming flooding in. You could flood your ship in 25 seconds if you accidentally opened a door wrong. And so, as you can see, that would be a lot of frustration. Somebody loses their career boat they spent 20 hours in career with because they forgot to close a door. And so by slowing that fluid transfer, it makes it so that you can make those little mistakes and they're not a huge problem. There was somebody on the discussions who put up this hyperbolic post that is now trying to cry that, oh, I just meant for him to do this. It's like, no, dude, you started in like maximal hyperbole, and now you're trying to say that you aren't in maximal hyperbole. But anyways, their whole thing was their shit. I gotta get the D11 out. Their whole thing was, oh my God, this was literally the title of their post. The devs are killing the game. And it was because you literally just have to do a small amount of work to do, you have to put a fluid port to equalize the gas pressure between rooms. That's it. And their whole thing is, what I think they're doing is, it sounds to me like they were taking the air for their engine out of their engine room, which you should not be doing. If you look at every real vehicle IRL, what do? They have some sort of port that goes out to the external world, and that's where they get the air from. That's what every friggin' vehicle in IRL does. They don't suck the air from their engine room. For obvious reason. What are you going to do? The air is consumed, the oxygen is consumed by the engine, right? Think of it as a living creature. It consumes the oxygen. You need to consume oxygen. The engine eats up the oxygen, and then you have no oxygen, and you pass out and die. And so there's a reason why the engines don't just suck the air out of the room. They take it from the outside. All right, and so this person likely was sucking the air out of their engine room like they shouldn't be doing, which, they shouldn't be doing, and then they were crying because they were dying. Well, yeah, you sucked all the oxygen out of the room, so you died, and it's unreasonable, I think. It's perfectly easy to just put a pipe, and they were making a big deal out of devs ruining the game because you literally have to put a pipe with a fluid port in. That's literally it. A pipe with a fluid port, and your problem is solved. And so this is all part of balancing, and the devs have to worry about this where we don't necessarily have to worry about that. And, you know, you're never going to balance anything perfectly because everybody has different objectives for what they'd like. You know? I would like it if it was much more complicated, but a lot of people would hate it, and it would... And personally, you know, I don't even want that because the game I want would be probably played by too few people to keep it alive. You know? So you kind of... You need to make the game approachable to enough people that it is a viable product that, you know, will survive. You know, and even if that's something I want, you need to make it where there's enough people so that the game doesn't die. So even the things I want, I don't make a big deal out of because I'm like, well, you know, it's probably, you know, not enough people are going to be able to figure this out. So as much as I would like to have to tune engine timing and valve timing and injection and spark and if it was a gasoline engine, a lot of people, they're going to find that to be tedious and not fun. It's just going to be a pain in the ass. And so the devs do have to care about that, though. They have to try to make sure their game is approachable and fun to enough people that they don't, the company doesn't go bust, you know? See if I can do this on my own here.
I'm empty. I'm on my way back.
Okay. D11 saved the day again here.
Trim was the word I was thinking about earlier.
What is it?
Trim.
Trim, yes.
Yeah. I didn't find the word. I tested every other word.
Yeah, the other thing a lot of people don't oh shit. There we go. Pull up the tension now. The other thing a lot of people don't realize is, you know, most of the games you've played cheat a lot of mechanics in cars and planes and all this, especially planes. They cheat a lot of it. And so, like, you know, in a lot of airplane stuff, you don't have to worry about trim. They'll do auto trim. Like, even like a flight sim will do an auto trim. And so people see that, oh my god, I gotta trim? That's so weird. It's like, no, that's realistic. Every other game just assumed that you were too dumb to be able to do it. So they didn't respect your intelligence, and they just were like, oh, they're never going to be able to figure this out, so we'll just take it out. We'll automate it. And so you got used to never having to trim a vehicle. And IRL, you have to trim. You know, that's something you have to do constantly in an airplane. You know, and so it's, you know, and then you get a game like this, and you're like, oh, well, did you trim? Well, I have to trim? Like, yeah, you got to trim. That's what the game's about. It's a more realistic experience. You know, so they have to worry about that stuff with like how, you know, how many people are going to appreciate this thing, and they have to worry about wasting their time. Like, do we spend all these hours doing X, Y, Z, where like 20% is going to care, and then 80% is not going to care, and, you know, so they have to worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they have to listen to the posts on a daily basis. People bitching that stuff is too far away, and I would like stuff to be further away. You know, but other people, they bitch that it's too far away, so they have to come up with some balance. So, like for these fish spots, you know, they're getting constant bitching about, you know, the people. For example, the people who like the distance of the fishing spots are not going to go on there and say, "Thanks, Dev, the fishing spots are perfect." They're just going to play. And the people who have a problem with it are going to go air their grievances. And, you know, so they have to worry about, like, for example, like, one of my maps, I bought the map, same seed as the one I'm using. I bought every one of the fishing spots, and I saved it, and now I know where every one of them is. And so that fixes a problem a lot of people are complaining about, which I think is reasonable, where they say, it would be nice if you could click left or right to pick which spot you wanted to buy. I get that. I actually agree with that. That's not bad. The auto off on the new one is already fixed. But, you know, so that makes sense. You know, buy only the spots you want to buy. Now, they'd have to change up a bunch of stuff in the Lua they have already for that. But, you know, that's perfectly reasonable. What I don't think is reasonable is some people are, oh, the fishing spots are so far away. No, that's not true. You know, in this seed here, and I can only speak to my seed, I can spawn a boat here, and I have a fishing spot, a hot spot right here, and I have another one right here. And I think I have one right here, I think right here and right here. These are all pretty close. This one here is literally within 10 minutes by boat at 15 knots. All right. I can go here, and I can literally be from here to here in 5 minutes. I have one right here. I can literally be from here to here within 10 minutes, from here to here within 10 minutes. And people are acting as though that is too much. And there has to be time sinks in game, and there has to be money sinks. And this is part of it. Again, you have to spend some money to go get fish. You have to spend diesel, and you have to spend time. And those are the two things you must spend. Now, if you want to go to anglerfish is down here. Yes, that's a hike. But anglerfish, my understanding, is big money. So if you want the big money, you have to invest the time and the effort. And the other thing is that a lot of people are missing is this is not a download from workshop game. This is supposed to be a build and engineering game where you take the problem and you come up with a solution. That's the purpose of the game. Whether you play it or not that way is up to you. But that's the point of the game. And so when you have to go a long distance, that makes it so that your boat should be fuel efficient. It should have enough fuel capacity that it can make it there and back. It's going to be out there in deep water where the waves are very big and scary. So you need a big enough boat that has enough, that's built well enough that will survive that. You need to have generators to produce electricity for you. You need all of these things. And that is the whole point of the engineering game. And so part of the faraway, the quote-unquote faraway fishing spots accomplishes that. It makes you build different things. Now, nothing is stopping you from building a speedboat that can go 80 knots and head out to that spot in 5 minutes. And then you're out to even one of those far spots in 5 minutes. And then you drop nets and you troll at 10 knots and you catch your fish, and then you come back at 80 knots. Nobody is stopping you from doing that. You know, there are people who, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
But if they build a speedboat that goes 80 knots, they will have it rev too high and overheat.
Yes, it will overheat, and then it'll be the game's fault again. You know, it's
yeah.
You know, that's the thing is you could build some weird, wacky shit if you want. You could literally go build a blimp that flies at 200 knots, that goes from base, that drops nets down in the water, and you just sit there and you drop nets in, and you just scoop up the fish and you head back. You can build that if you want. You know, I think, you know, not to be too disparaging, but I think a lot of it is laziness. Is people they want the shortcut, they want the quick sugar high instead of actually doing the work for it. Like the fun of this game, frankly, and the point of this game is to build things. And I think a lot of those complaints come from people who've never built anything or don't care to build anything, and frankly, too bad. Listen, the update just came out. A lot of the people who actually play the game how it's supposed to be played as builders have not finished their builds yet because they're still working on them. Eventually, the workshop is going to be flooded with good fishing vessels that you can buy and that do everything you want. But in the meantime, if you want a specific vessel to do the things you want, learn how to build and build it. Real simple, you know?
Yeah, I agree. We have to take into consideration, though, that the minority is loud and the majority is silent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Duke's talking about, you know, always had a port before the pressure update. Like, you know, when I talked about, I have a tutorial video I put out about the arduous task of venting your fuel tanks. Literally, pipe, gas relief valve, and all the gas relief valve is it only allows gas through. So it's essentially a filter to make sure the fuel doesn't spill out, and a fuel port. That's it. Okay, that is all you need to ventilate your tanks. And I show in the video. Here. Let me bring it up real quick. I show in the video the there's this example they did where they sucked the air out of a tanker car for a train, and it collapses the car in spectacular fashion. And that's something that you really have to worry about. Here, let's bring the video up.
Yeah, I've seen that. Looks amazing. I'm here.
All right, stand by one quick sec. Turn on desktop audio.
Yeah, I park here.
All right, so here is the airplane. So, like, it's a short video. It's 11 minutes. I know some people think they're dying. So this is an airplane, Cessna 172. Right here, that is the fuel. That is the fuel vent right there. So you have your tank here. It's a metal tank. And you have a cap on top. And then you have a pipe. And the pipe goes up, and it goes all the way to the top of the tank. And this is set up so that as you burn the fuel and the fuel is drained into the engine, right, if you don't let air go in and replace the fuel, you'll get fuel starvation because eventually you pull a partial vacuum, the pump can't overcome it. Generally, you don't have a pump. Well, you have an engine pump, but you have a boost pump as well. But anyway, so the pump will not be able to overcome the vacuum in the tank, and your engine will die. And so what do they put on there? A simple pipe. That's it. It's a pipe. It goes up above the fuel level, and it will let air go in from here into the tank. So as you drain fuel, the air goes in, and it replaces the fuel that's burned. When you fill your tank, the air is blown out of the top, and the fuel replaces the air. Pretty simple, right? You have these on cars and trucks and boats. I have a cool story of my friend with a boat. He bought the boat from another friend, and there's something you're not supposed to do at the gas station. You're not supposed to, quote-unquote, top off. And it says right in your manual, do not top off. And there's a reason. You have one of these in your car as well. And the pump goes off at a certain point in the tank of your car on purpose. You're not supposed to click it again. Like you'll see these idiots at the pumps, and I'll call them idiots. The pump goes off, it clicks, they pull it again, it clicks, they pull it again, it clicks. All you're doing is you're filling this hose up with fuel. Should not be doing that. Fuel's corrosive. Don't be doing that. This is for air. It's not for fuel. And so my buddy was doing this when he got the boat. My buddy was a commercial airline pilot too. He's a captain, and he didn't know this shit, which he should have. And the pump clicked, and he grabbed it again. I go, dude, why are you topping off? And he goes, oh, I want more fuel. And I, dude, like, first of all, you should know better. You shouldn't be topping off. And two, and I'm like, I would stop if I were you. And he did it again. Did it again. So I stepped back, and he's like, why are you stepping back? And he does it one more time. And I noticed where he was standing. He was standing in front of the fuel vent. And so what he did was he topped off one more time. He filled the fuel vent with fuel, and the gasoline came out and sprayed it all over his back. He was covered in gasoline. Because guess what happens? You overfill the tank, the fuel spills into this fuel vent, and it pisses out. So here you are at the fuel pumps thinking you're doing yourself a service, putting extra fuel in. Well, now you've just wasted gasoline, spilled it all over the ground, which is a hazard, and ruins the asphalt, for no good reason. And you've ruined your fuel system, so you don't want to be doing that.
It was added and include this.
And so people act like it's some strange thing literally, this is how hard it is. Fuel tank, gas relief valve, fluid port. Done. That's all you have to do. And here, let's find the actual tank going. Here's the tank. So this is like on the top of these tanks right here is a gas relief valve essentially. And so what happens is as you pull the liquid out of this tank, you need to replace it with something because the air pressure is trying to crush the can. And so if you put some air in there, the air is pushing back out. And so what happens is if you don't have an air vent, what sometimes will happen is these will get clogged, broken, or in the case of the airplane, let me see. In the case of the airplane, you used to get mud wasps. They would build a nest in here, and that would block the fluid, the airport there. And so what happens is this.
As a train car. As you can see, he's blocked
So
that GIF. All right, looking at the GIF again here, as you can see, it gets
see how
crushed.
that crushed in a fraction of a second. There's literally a dude standing there. You can see him. It's
Again,
live.
here,
That's
see,
the
it
speed
gets
at which it crushes. Because all the air pressure is trying to crush it. So people act like this is some sort of strange and mysterious thing. It isn't. This is something that real engineering has to worry about. And literally all you do is put a pipe. That's it. A pipe with a one-way check valve on there, and you're good to go. And, it's not that challenging. But we got a ton of cool features, as far as I'm concerned, that were added to the game because of this. At the expense of you have to put a pipe with a fluid port on the end of it. And I keep seeing people complain about this, and it's literally like for most of your builds, it would be like less than 30 seconds. You could probably put it on there. Let's say a minute at most. And people act as though the world ended because they have to do this, and it's like, I find it so absurd and silly. You know, it's perfectly reasonable to not understand these things, but the proper response is to ask, hey, you know, my build's doing this, can you help me out? And that's what I would say most people are doing. They just ask, like, a little bit closer, Rasmus, if you can.
Okay.
You know, and most people are being reasonable. They're asking, like, hey, my boat dies after about 3 kilometers. Does anyone know what it is? And generally the answer is, I ask, are you venting your fuel tanks? They go, oh, we have to do that now? Yep. And you just tell them, yep, just put a fluid port and a gas relief valve, and they go, oh, it works now. And most people have a pretty good, that's good right there, have a pretty good attitude about it and are not a pain in the ass about it. But it's like, you get some people that Dev should revert to before this is so stupid. And it's like, dude, you know, you're having a little temper tantrum because you have to add 2 parts to your build. It's pretty absurd as far as I'm concerned. And it adds a lot of cool features to the game. Yeah, like Martin's talking about, and it's not stupid of Martin. Martin just needed to ask the question or look it up, like, why is, like, you know, if you take the air that your engine needs to breathe out of the room, eventually it goes. Like, I like to think of it as marbles. So you have these marbles in the room, and the marbles are the oxygen you need. And eventually, you've taken all the marbles, and now guess what? You can't breathe anymore. And so all you have to do is, it's real simple, is you put some more marbles in there. So you have a little port, and it lets marbles in. That's all it is. And it's pretty simple and easy to understand. Pull up. I think the new 6040 is better gripped, too, so the new versions of these are better in a lot of ways. I think I did the auto shut-off, so a bunch of things I needed to do. But, you know, the way to ask is, there's a lot of people in this community who are really good and knowledgeable and are helpful. Like, you know, a lot of guys in my Discord and that are helping and build help do a great job. We gotta wait till all these get... I got a lot of... Oh, now it's opening? I pressed the wrong button, that's why. You know, and so... you know, just kind of got to go in there with a good attitude and be like, hey, guys, I'm having this, you know, I'm having this problem. Can somebody help me? And you'll find there's a ton of people with a lot of great knowledge who will help you out. But if you come in there, like, ranting and raving like a lunatic, I'm like, oh, damn this house, like, I have no interest in helping that person out because they're already in an agitated, pissed off state, and they're not going to be fun to deal with. And so it's like, you know, ask your question early when you're not agitated. And generally, it's going to be something small instead of banging your head against the wall for a while. Let me catch up the chat. You know, like I have some speedboats that will go 110 knots and never overheat. You know, and you know, they're fun for rescues and stuff like that. And like, if someone wants to throw a net on something like that, they can. And it's, you know, I really like actively hate the idea of like people gatekeeping other people's play. And it's like, is that something I would do, putting a fishing net on a speedboat? No, but I have no problem with somebody else doing it. And it's like, the problem is you'll get a lot of those people who actively are like anti you having fun the way you want. And it's like, I have no problem with the way they have fun. Let them have their fun. Let other people have their fun. You know, but it's like, you know, you can put fishing nets on a speedboat if you want. If the fishing spots are so far for you, build a faster boat, you know, so you get there quicker. You know, it's an engineering problem, and you get to solve it, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whatever you want to do, you can basically do it. If you want to build a Star Wars Star Cruiser of some sort and fish with that, yeah, you can do that.
Yep.
Nobody's going to stop you unless you don't understand how to make it, of course. But as long as you do.
Yeah. Yeah, you see a lot of people, Duke, that are like, this is impossible. Like, it's impossible to cool anything. It's possible to do this, and then I take it as a personal challenge and do it. Like, so many people were like, you can't sink boats, and I did it quickly, and they're like, well, I meant, you know, I can't sync them as fast as I'd like. And it's like, well, say that in the beginning. Like, go to the right there, Rasmus. You know, there are two different, you know, there's two different things going on here. You know, what you said and what you meant. Well, don't say something you don't mean. If you mean, you know, like, for example, there's reasonable ways to put it. Hey, I think it would be better if the devs allowed a higher fluid transfer. That's a reasonable request. I agree. I think there should be a higher fluid transfer. The problem then becomes, and the problem the devs were solving for was, you had Timmy and Johnny who don't know anything about anything, and they were opening their doors right after the pressure. And, like, listen, this is how the devs had it when they first released the pressure update. You opened a door, and there was a huge pressure differential, a big delta V, or, yeah, delta P. It would literally throw you across the map. And the problem was, then you got Timmy and Johnny go, oh my God, I've been working on this career game for 20 hours, and I just died because I opened a door. No, you didn't die because you opened a door. You died because your engine was sucking all the air out of the room. And then you opened a door with a huge delta P, and the air from outside pushed you into the door and killed you. And so the solution's reasonably easy, right? You make sure your engine's not eating the air out of the room. You also make sure that you also make sure that you have a pressure, you have ventilation through your system, which you would have in real life, ducting between your rooms that allows the air pressure to equalize with the outside air. That's what my ships do. And the air pressure outside is 1 atmosphere. The air pressure inside is 1 atmosphere, and we don't have these problems. But the devs have to be concerned about the person who, for sometimes obvious reasons, doesn't have any physics background and needs that little bit of help of a simplified system. And so they have to go back sometimes and balance things out. And so you had Timmy and Johnny who would pump air in and out of a room too quickly, and they would kill themselves. And then they would bitch, the game is broken, the game's too hard, poo-poo, I hate the game. And so the devs went back and said, you know what, let's slow how fast we can move liquids, or fluids rather, and that way Timmy and Johnny won't suffocate themselves in 28 seconds. It will take 2 minutes. And then people complain, oh my God, fluid transfer is so slow. Yeah, they did it because this other group of players were struggling with something, and so it was a balancing pass. And it sucks sometimes that the balancing pass doesn't go in your favor, but, at the end of the day, the goal was to try to make it, more reasonable for certain groups of people. The objective was understandable. How's it going there, Bison? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, drama llamas out there, and I get in the fray a little bit, but, my whole philosophy and why I kind of even do it is, I see day in and day out people like, the game's in the worst state it's ever been. I think that's a pile of bullshit. That's an absolute pile of bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, the game's in pretty much the best state it's been in, and the reason is because, one, instead of complaining for months and months, I just learned how to make the mechanics work. And so things like the pressure update, I love the pressure update. We've been making air brakes that actually work using real pressure. I've been simulating hydraulics using actual real pressure. I like the added complexity of ventilating your systems and ventilating tanks. That interests me. I think that's great. Now, you have somebody who has no clue how to do any of this shit, and they rely on the workshop, which is perfectly fine. But, again, if you don't know something, it isn't on the rest of the world. It's on you. And you kind of have to take that opinion that, hey, if I don't know something, it's on me to learn that thing. It's not, the rest of the world didn't do me wrong, it's I need to learn that thing. Now, a lot of people don't take that approach, unfortunately. And, if you don't know how to ventilate your tanks, go watch my tutorial, and literally, in 10 minutes, you now know how to ventilate any tank, and you also know the history in the background, and how, oh my God, my car actually has one of these fuel vents that I thought was some exotic weird thing the devs just added out of spite. And it's like, no, that's not the case. And you learn something. And one of the reasons why I get into the fray with this too is I'm afraid that the devs will see post after post after post of people being like, I wish the devs would just roll back the pressure update. And eventually they'll just say, you know what, fuck it. We're sick of the drama, we're sick of the noise, we're sick of this bitching and complaining. Let's just roll back the pressure update. And the problem is the people who are enjoying the pressure update, like myself, are often very quiet because we're just enjoying the game, playing the game. We're building our builds, and guess what? Our builds work. And so we're not on Reddit ranting all day. We're just playing and enjoying it. And so you get this disproportionate view where it seems like the majority is all these people who are struggling, and I don't think it's the case. You know, you see on a daily basis things pop up in the workshop that work, and they work fine. And all those people have been able to build modular engines. They've been able to cool their modular engines. They've been able to ventilate their tanks without any problem. And that's what's happening. And so I'm glad the devs don't cave to some of that shit. But that is my fear and why I think it's important for those of us who like are able to play the game and it's not a big deal. When you see like a post of somebody being like, oh, they should roll back the pressure update. If you like the pressure update, you know, get out of your comfort zone and be like, hey, I completely disagree. I love the pressure update. I can make some cool stuff with this. It takes all of 5 minutes to ventilate your tanks. This is how you do it. Add a gas relief valve and a fluid port. It's that simple. You know, move on with your day. And that way, instead of all the forums and the discussions being filled with people who look like the game's in a shitty state, you start to realize that no, you have some people that don't know how to play the game, which is fine. You have other people that are enjoying it the way it is, and you get a much more balanced view. And that's the reason why I kind of bring these things up and get into the fray is, you know, if somebody doesn't talk about it, you start to let the people, the grouchers and the complainers and the people who are struggling, it looks like that's what the reality is, and I don't think it is.
I'm full, so I'm going to
Okay, sounds good.
empty.
Yeah. I think I'll go grab the 785 and drag it over here. Now you can tell all my employees don't care about fuel costs because they leave my engines running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually turned the engines off on my.
Yeah, that's one reason why I made that say what channel in the Discord of like kind of calling some of these comments out is, you know, often bad behavior persists because people don't get called out on it, you know, and you know, it's like those people who like throw temper tantrums IRL, you know, when they start getting called out on it, that's when they stop doing it. You know, and it's the same thing in this kind of environment is, you know, and now Reddit is completely a cesspool. You know, a bunch of the people were made moderators because the moderators were completely inactive and weren't taking their job seriously. And now it's, so they just let whoever want to be moderators, and now it's a bunch of people who actively hate the game are now moderators for the game, or some of the moderators. For the game, for Reddit. And so you've taken, that would be like putting people who hate sewing in charge of a sewing subreddit. You know, so, you know, I just stay off Reddit now as it's a complete cesspool and it's a lost cause, but it's, you know, unfortunately, you know, you get those communities that end up like that where you let the shitheads take over and let the people who are just negative about the thing that they're supposed to be enjoying and sharing their experiences with and, you know, talking with like-minded people and having fun, and they turn it into just a bitch fest. And it's like, at some point, you kind of got to step up and like, you know, oppose it to a little bit, you know, or else that becomes the norm. Your train is doing something weird. Must be the game's fault there, Sergeant. You know, and a lot of the times when people like, you know, I see it quite often. It's like people like, the game's so janky or the game's so glitchy. It's like, dude, I do not run into a lot of glitches. Like, you know, you guys see how much I play, and I stream most of it. Like, we had a crash today. I think it was OBS's fault, but screw it. Let's throw it on the game. Let's say the game crashed it. Okay. I haven't had one in quite a while, and it didn't really ruin our fun. Rasmus and I are still having a good time. Like, I don't care about the lost progress. That wasn't a big deal to me. We've caught up already. Okay. Tarkov crashed on me 5 times more than this game has in the same period of time, and I still play Tarkov. You know, it's what's going to happen in software is shit's going to crash sometimes. And the other thing, too, is you got to attribute it correctly, where Windows has been absolutely friggin' weird lately. They added a bunch more bloatware to Windows. If, you know, you get Windows updates all the time. If you don't do your Windows updates, you get games crashing more often. If you don't do your graphics driver updates, games crash more often. So even if, like, that game is crashing a lot, it's hard to attribute it to the game itself, or is it just not talking well with is just not meshing well with the Windows update? And then you have to say, is it really on that game developer if, you know, this Windows update they're not really meshing well with? You know, or is it on Windows? You know, maybe Windows did something, or maybe NVIDIA did something that's weird. You know, I have a sneaking suspicion, like, one of the, you know, it's a legitimate complaint people are having of, like, oh, my game is slow to, or, well, let's put it some of the way some of the people do it. They say, my game takes forever to load from 90 to 100%. Now, I think that's the point when vehicles load in. Now, when I say vehicles, for example, the pumps you have in base are a vehicle. They're in your vehicles folder. They're a vehicle. It loads it in as an actual vehicle entity into the game. And I think at 90%, that's when all that stuff happens. Now, if you have a ton of add-ons, it's going to try to load in all the add-ons around 90%, I think. And so if you have a lot of add-ons, you have a lot of shit to load in. Now, on my PC, I have a good solid-state drive, I have good RAM, I have good internet, I have a good GPU, I have a good CPU. Everything is good on my computer. I load in generally in 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds max. I had one time where it took me 30 seconds, and the reason was because my CPU was 100% maxed out because of my video editing program was processing a video. And so I got to see what a lot of these people say it takes forever. And then I'll usually ask, like, well, what do you mean it takes forever? And they go, well, it takes like 40 seconds. Well, that's not forever, you know. And so sometimes, again, it's hyperbole, is people, you know, making a, you know, making a big deal out of nothing, too. Pivots use gravity, correct? If pivots are not powered, they act as a bearing. Anton, I'm actually probably going to end up here soon. I got some stuff going on. Actually, yeah, why don't you join, Anton? Let's join. I'll stay on for a little while. Yep. Yeah, go ahead and join, Anton. I think, yeah, you should be pretty often there. Yeah, I looked at the time. You're still good there, Anton. I'm not going to go yet. Anton, if you go into multiplayer chat and you go into the, you know, into the voice channel, just go in the voice channel so you get live audio from me. You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but go in there, and then if you open the multiplayer chat channel, the password is in there, and then you can just join. Are you Steam friends with me? You should be able to just join. I can never remember who's on there. If you're not, just ping me in Discord with your friend code. But yeah, we could use another truck driver. I looked at the time. I'm still good on time. Yeah, but if you don't power the pivots, they act as bearings. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is it's like, you know, a big part of it too with a lot of these quote-unquote game problems. I always ask them some of the same questions. I ask them, have you verified file integrity? So what happens is when you download an update for a game, right? If one of the files does not download correctly, the game is looking for that file. The file's not working, and the game goes, whoops, don't know, missing file, right? And it hangs. That happens in every game since the beginning of time. And so Steam has this option, verify file integrity. What it does is it interrogates the files, and it says, oh, you're missing file number 67212, and it downloads 67212, and it installs it. Now, part of that is like Bison's talking about, is like if you have dial-up internet. If you have terrible internet and it misses a file, well, then your game is missing files. So when you see people, oh, my game's crashing all the time, and blame the game, it's like, it could be. But it also could be that, you know, you didn't download the files correctly, It could be that you don't have auto updates on. It could be that so your game version's out of date. That will do it. It could be you didn't download the latest NVIDIA driver, and now the driver is not working correctly with the information. You know, it could be a number of things. So when people just say game broke, that is partially laziness because they don't know why, and it's easy to blame the game. It's much harder for them to take the 20 minutes to figure out that, oh, my drivers are out of date, update your drivers. Oh my God, now the game works. And they don't come back to the forum then and say, hey guys, I was wrong. Game not broke. It was my drivers. I forgot to update my drivers. Boo-hoo. Not the game's fault. You know, they don't do that. What they do is they just run away. And so after shitting on the game for, and spending 20 minutes bitching, they don't come back and spend 20 minutes, oh, I'm an idiot for not doing my drivers. And so what's left is you see all these posts of this broke, this broke, this broke, this broke, and you don't get the people coming back that, nope, it was something I did, And so it's understandable that they don't come back, but it's also, it puts out a false perception into the environment that it's a bunch of things that are causing the problem that it's not.
I'm glad I'm not hanging on either Reddit or Steam Workshop.
Yeah.
Reading those messages because
it's pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets to me. I like what part of the reason too is I try to, I don't know, I try to be a good steward of the game where I figure, I have a good bit of experience here and I have and I can help people out. And one of the reasons I started making tutorials was like, it's hard to sit down with one person and fix all the problems in their build. It's much easier to link them a tutorial. Like somebody in our community asked for some help. They said, oh, I followed the tutorial and it's not working. And I looked at it and I was like, it doesn't look like you're following the tutorial. Anton, go to, let me make sure you should be Austin there. Let me double check the permissions real quick. Multiplayer off.
Has not joined.
What's up?
He has not joined the game. Citrus is here.
I know, no. I'm getting messages from Anton. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Let me just quickly check. Who's pinging? Let me see. I gotta check multiplayer off. Make sure he's off on there. Anton, what's your name on Discord? Okay. Yeah, let me fix that. That might be why. Somebody said just banging in the sheet. I see. I'm getting messages from him on SJ. Is that your name on Discord? What's your name on Discord, Anton? I type in SJ and I don't see it. I'll send you the password directly, but I need to add you to the channel there, and I don't see your... just message me in Discord, too. Just DM me as well, and that way I'll know. Just DM me and say that's you, and I'll send you the password here. Okay, Anton XB. Okay, thank you. gotta. Yeah, the channel's invisible unless I off that. So I looked for you and I wasn't sure if that was you. So I did, okay, there we go, perfect. All right, so you're added to multiplayer off. Okay, so you're added to multiplayer off now, Anton. So you should be able to see underneath. Underneath multiplayer streams, there's a multiplayer chat. I see it in there.
I found it.
All right, excellent. Yep. Yeah, I was going through the multiplayer auth and adding everybody, all the members, and I saw that one. I'm like, I think that's him, but I meant to ask and I forgot.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anton, are you SJ Poiken?
Yeah,
I think
that's me. Yeah. I'm just gonna change out a couple of things on my character.
We're gonna have to do some Swedish name for the mining company. What's clusterfuck in Swedish? Clusterfuck mining in Swedish.
Clusterfuck. So very similar.
Oh, very similar. Yeah. Clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Citrus is back from his break. I want everybody to know that Citrus was on break again for, let's see, an hour and almost 30 minutes. Citrus is a man of leisure. He's living that Nord life, I think, too much. You can move right. Here, let me quickly mine this section up. Go to the wall side. Like, you gotta get a little bit tighter to this one than the other one for reach. But I'll put my bucket up in a second. I gotta be full. So here, I'll put the bucket up, and you just go under.
Oh, Captain, what do you want me to do?
Let's see. You could go ahead if you want to grab the semi-miner. That is down by the base of the. It's down by the facility. You can grab that if you want, and then you can kind of mine on your own. What else do I have for vehicles? Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. Let's see why my arm is. I'm having arm issues. Let's see why this doesn't go up. Again, blame it on the game. Oh, I'm so glitchy. Let's just rotate a little, dude. Like, literally, I rotated 2 inches and it raised the arm. Right on there.
It's the game's fault.
Come on, Citrus, pull straight up.
I'm empty again, so
Okay.
I'm heading back.
Yeah. That's good. New version's got the horn on it, so I can just honk. That's good. And you can just stay there. I'll eat on either side of you here. Try to get that one piece of ore there. There we go. You're good right there. You can stay there. I can eat around you. Yeah, so if you go down, Anton, right, let me look on the map here. You can see it on the map. It's the vehicle down by the Captain Aluminum Terminal. There's a semi-miner. You can do whatever you want. You can go ahead down there and you can grab that semi-miner if you want to mine your own, or you can grab the big Liber by Alistair and drag that up here too. When you come up, just take this path down here. You'll see where it says Dunewalker Island. Right to the left of that, that's kind of where we drive up there. But yeah, you can do either one, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, I will try. I just fibbling with my computer a bit.
Copy, sounds good. Klustefan, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
What's mining?
Mining.
Gruvarbete?
Ja, gruvarbete.
I'll have to make a graphic for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll have some slogans like Citrus always on lunch, never in the truck. Citrus burns more sandwiches than he does diesel. I was gonna take a picture this morning and send it to you, Citrus. I looked at my hand soap. I was like, what's the smell of his hand soap? It says citrus. Citrus, it's got your flavor in there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
There are citrus tea and sparkling water and other and fruit.
Up, down.
Are you gonna pull up? Should be good to dump again. How's it going there, Amin? How are you? Welcome. You, I don't know if you've joined the Discord yet, but you look at the description there. It should be in there if you'd like to join that. Go for a little bit longer, probably, I don't know, maybe another 30-something minutes. Got some stuff to do. Yeah, half the things I was supposed to do yesterday didn't materialize. I was gonna stream yesterday and then kind of waiting around all day to do something and it didn't materialize. Yeah, we can always do multiplayer in a week too. Took a while to get the multiplayer up and running just because like I need to get all the vehicles built. Now we got it. All the vehicles are in running state. That was like all the finish work. I have had no, I don't mean from Finland. I have just no desire to go in and like do cockpit work at the moment. Just like do a bunch of panels and stuff like that. And just not interested at the moment. Eventually we'll do.
Sitting in the sun all day. Yeah, that is Finnish work.
Yeah. Eat some sort of terrible fermented fish and sit in the sauna.
That is a Swedish thing.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Surströmming.
Yeah, it's a lethal weapon.
It actually tastes good. It smells horrible, but tastes good.
It's like fish
Oh,
sauce.
I know.
It's like, yeah, every time I do fish sauce, I make sure I put a paper towel on the when I open it so it's not on my hands. It's good in the food, but it's, you don't want fish sauce on you.
No, exactly.
You know, I'm glad the old people figured that out, you know, centuries ago, because it's like I wouldn't take fish and bury it in a hole in the ground. Wouldn't be the first thing I would think to do and then eat it afterward. I think I'll starve to death. I think. How's it going there, Chris? How are you? I have not made the roach coach yet. That's good to do. Oh, there's friggin' breaks. All you should do is make some lawn chairs, and Citrus has to sit in the lawn chair every time he goes on break.
I can't get the drill in gear, it seems.
Like in
I
drive
can,
gear?
yeah, I can get the RPS up, but not
Did
into
you
a gear.
turn off the park brake? You gotta press it so the light is on.
Let's try again.
Should be tractor supply, and it should come up lit up green, yellow rather. Oh, where I got green from? Yellow. you start moving up citrus. This is going to be a dump pass. I'll raise the bucket in a second. And then on your right, there's a switch that will do drill. Train falling will lower the drills. All right, citrus, I'm ready to dump. It's a fine looking piece of mining truck there.
You should give it a pat on the back.
Indeed. Yeah, I might do a little video on like talking about like when people say fix multiplayer, and like, you know, I did that demonstration on the live stream the other day where I purposely spawn vehicles inside of one another, and how it's gonna yeah, get out there. So just go get that. That's your retirement fund there. You know, by just spawning a couple vehicles, and the devs talked about in the last Q&A was there was a couple missions where they were getting mission duplication where you would have like 2 cars spawn inside of each other and it would bring the whole map to its knees. And so it's like that's a huge thing with, you know, having the game ultra lagging. It's like a lot of these people, when they say fix multiplayer, they want the Wild West dedicated servers to be somehow lag free. It's never going to happen because you need to do what we're doing. Like, we don't have problems because we don't have, we have authorized people who are not jackasses, who are not slamming vehicles into each other all the time. And, like, I'm not dumping a ton of ore on the ground. If you, sometimes, I'm not dumping ore on the ground all the time. That causes lag. But, again, if you smash 2 vehicles into each other, they glitch out because obviously you have 2 objects occupying the same space that shouldn't be, which is breaking, like, the constraints of the game, and it lags the game out. And you get a bunch of physics environment, SV environment problems. And there's no solution to that. There just isn't. Like, people are complaining about, for example, in the weapons DLC, the devs made it so that eventually when you do enough damage to the ship, it disappears. And it just poofs out of existence. And the reason is, the more damage you do to the ship, the more likely you're going to have blocks glitching into one another. You're going to have the explosive effect go off. And eventually, like, it's going to use a ton of resources for really no good use, right? Eventually, you want to hit that ship and just have it blow up. And yeah, it would be cool if the ships would kind of sink. But then they go and they're sitting on the bottom, and you have this complex piece of equipment that's glitching into one another. Now, at the bottom of the ocean, you can't see it anyways. You might as well just have it poof out of existence. And so that's one of the solutions they had to try to answer the call of fix multiplayer. And a lot of people don't want to hear what would actually fix multiplayer is have fewer people, have them in close proximity to one another, stop smashing vehicles into each other, don't have 3 people trying to spawn 1 vehicle at a workbench at the same time. You legitimately have people who are purposely trying to bring the server to its knees by spawning vehicles into each other. You have people playing bumper cars that eventually you get vehicles, glitching into one another. There's nothing you can do about that. And it's, you kind of have to just, like, see how it's going to work. And a lot of games get away with being able to do that because you don't manually build the vehicle yourself. And the vehicles don't actually... the physics isn't on board. The physics is done in the game itself and not in the vehicle itself. And that's a completely different type of game, and it just won't work. And, like, we can play multiplayer here and have no problems. We have good frames. We're at 32 frames. We've got everybody's within 5 frames here, even though they're all, thousands of miles away from me. Because, like, we're not slamming vehicles into one another. My builds will not super duper optimized or reasonably optimized, and we're not smashing into each other, and that's kind of the point of what this is supposed to be. Is it's not supposed to be bumper cars game, it's not its job. You know, we don't have anybody flying over in a complex airplane that is not optimized going Mach 2. You know.
And no Titanics.
Yeah, no Titanics. You know, we're not doing a bunch of that shit. You know, like we can. You know, we went out on the fishing boat. The fishing boat's reasonably complicated. It's not super duper optimized, and we had 62 frames the entire time. It was 4 or 5 people on one boat doing, and the nets are reasonably complicated. I made. And we had 62 frames the whole time. But, like, now you say, okay, well, let's fly a plane over at Mach 2 and let's smash into some shit. And let's do this and this and this. And, like, the people are like, oh, I want collisions on the net so I can catch my friend. Well, now you got the net colliding with the boat. What's that going to do? You know, and so there's a reason why they do some of these things. You know, they don't just float through the world. There's a reason why some of these things are done and why some of the problems are there. And you know, again, you know, you would have to take away a lot of what makes the game to be able to, quote unquote, fix multiplayer, and it would ruin the basic elements of the game. And that's why it's not as easy to turn on a light switch to fix multiplayer. Is a lot of it is you have to fix player behavior, and those people don't want their behavior fixed, too.
How many buckets have you put in the dumper then?
I'm not sure. What do you got in there, Citrus? You want to give that a look? Well, that's good, Chris. Glad you're enjoying it.
I must be stupid or something, but I can't get it into gear.
Okay, let me. Citrus, you want to go help him out? Citrus?
It was here, but
Oh, okay. So you've got the brake is off, right? The yellow light is lit up.
yellow light.
Anton, where are you?
So if you look at the steering wheel, it's the panel to the right of the steering wheel. You'll see something that says tractor supply. You want to press that button and it should light up yellow.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
It's hard when you not have built them yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But it's fun.
Okay, so the yellow light's on now.
Oh, Citrus is in here.
Okay. Oh, he might not have the trailer off, but no, he should still be able to shift with the trailer brakes on. So the tractor brakes will put you in neutral, so you can't shift.
Okay. So tractor supply should be on.
Yeah, tractor is the front, is the power unit, and the trailer is the back unit.
Yeah. So.
Okay, you're full.
Yes, moving
All right,
now.
when you come up to my right there, Rasmus.
Yeah. I'm now flipping back to my truck right now.
Oh, I'm full? Okay, thank you. Alright, thanks. Yeah, I couldn't see. I was going to stop in a second. Yeah, I got to put the new version of the 6040 does have auto stop. Yeah, come on to the left. It's fine, Citrus. I'll put my bucket right where I want you. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, there's another thing that'll lag the game out is there's too much of this ore. That's why they have such a short period of time before you're good where you are. Got you now. That's why they put such a short period of time. Now, I would like to see the slider go to 5 minutes, but there's a bunch of things you can see that the devs do to try to head some of these problems off the pass. Like, for example, you know, the ore. The ore, they doubled, I think, the amount of time it takes for the ore to disappear. It used to be really quick. And that is that's a lag reduction thing. Is each of those little rocks has physics. Like, if I hit them with my tire, it will shoot the rock. You know, it has physics. And so anytime you're having physics come in and out of the world, and you have 4,000 things sitting around that have physics, it's gonna cause problems. And so that's to be expected, you know. And so that was one of the lag fighting things on that, you know.
I think they could clump ore pieces into bigger
Yes, they could do that.
ore stacks or something. They did that in Minecraft, I know, when breaking a lot of blocks in Minecraft could cause server lag. and they stack them. That could be a solution for stormworks as well.
Yeah. You know, like for example, you get every 10 blocks that falls on the ground turns into one big rock. You know, so it's 10, then it turns into a big rock. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Yeah. You know, or the other thing to do is like do block compression, essentially, where if they dump out of the bucket, they're one at a time. If you pick it up with your hands, it's 10. You know, so the block it's rated at you know, so like say you have 105 in your bucket. You could pull out 10 blocks and put them on you, and then at the end you have to pull out 5 1 blocks. You know, something like that. You know, a bunch of games do that sort of thing too.
It was a false alarm, I'm guessing. It wasn't full.
No, it was my bucket was full. He was telling me my bucket was full. The new version of the 6040 has an auto shut off where it stops the drills. This one does not, so it will keep drilling even though it's full, and they just dump on the ground and dump too much, start lagging us out. So. But like the other thing too is like, because we have so many options in the game, it's a good and a bad thing. The bad thing of the options is people can do some silly things that will not have desired effects. And so like there was this guy that it's the reason I made the sinking ship video yesterday was this dude's like, I can't sink my hull, and I literally send him like 4 examples of them that all sink. And I told him, put a door on the side, and he goes, oh, it's still not sinking. He goes, it doesn't work. And again, he's talking in hyperbole. He doesn't mean it doesn't work. He means it doesn't work as fast as I like. And he didn't say that. If he says it doesn't work as fast as I like, I've got no comment for you, dude. Got nothing for you. Because it's a matter of opinion. So I've got nothing to, you know. One, I don't even care to engage in that. Like, I personally think that, yeah, we could use a little bit faster fluid transfer. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think, you know, personally, I don't care about having the problems where a player suffocates if they suck the air out of the room too fast. They should slow it down, you know. But we do have the problem with for example, the small pumps and the large pumps. The small pump still pumps very, very, like, if it's pumping at 10 liters per second, which is where it pumps now, you will not suffocate yourself in 5 seconds if you accidentally suck some air out of your room. The problem is, when the pressure update first came out, it would suck the air out so fast because it could move at like, I don't know, like 599 liters per second, something like that. It would suck out the air out of the room so fast that you would suffocate right away. And so, of course, that is not helpful in a game context. And so what did the devs do? They balanced it and made it so it's much slower. Now, IRL, you could have 400 million different sizes and strengths of pumps, and your pumps can be tiny and small. The devs can't add, you know, 40 different types of pumps to the game. They just can't do it. And the other thing is, people are then going to complain that, oh my God, I have to, you know, I have to put on a complicated PID system to make sure the pump doesn't pump too fast, right? Or what you can do is you can slow it down, and yes, the sinking ship survival community has to actually engineer a little bit in this engineering game to have their fun. I think that's a better solution, frankly. Yeah, but anyways, like this person, like I even checked out their build. They said, I tried, it's still not working. And again, they're not, I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but they're not arguing honestly, because their point again was not that it doesn't sink. It was that it doesn't sink as fast as I would like. And the problem is that's not what they said. And so I checked out their build, and they have some of the weirdest shit going on in there. They have door frames all over the boat, so that only half the boat will flood. And so they're doing really weird, unconventional shit and purposely putting in glitches that are causing things to act weird. But guess what? I put one door on the side, and it was sinking. It took on 179,000 liters of water, and I did a test where I filled it up with water, and at 300-something thousand liters, it will sink. And so all it is a matter of time. It will sink. But again, even though they said it won't sink, what they meant to say was, I meant to say, it doesn't sink as fast as I'd like. Okay, well that's not what you claimed. Your claim was that it doesn't sink, and I answered it and demonstrated that it does sink. And so that's the other thing, is you got to be specific with what you want, or else you're going to frustrate the people trying to help you, because they're trying to help you, and you need to say exactly what the desired behavior you want is. Like, you know, my nets don't work. And then you're like, well, or, you know, your nets work. Look, they're catching fish. They work. Well, they don't catch as many fish as I'd like. Well, that's two different questions. How do I make my nets catch more fish? Or how do I make my nets bigger so they catch more fish? Versus my nets don't work. Your nets do work. They don't catch as many fish you want. I have two different answers for you. So I think some people need to learn to be specific.
Yeah. If one wants a specific answer, one needs to ask specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I drove off a cliff and turned it over. It didn't break, but it turned over. So should I go grab my tow truck and?
I'll send you the. I know which cliff you're on too.
Yeah.
That's the one where that gets everybody because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Let me quickly grab my maps folder. I'll.
This.
All right, so this was nice too. Is this? I made this the other day, and I labeled the grid so it's 2410 is where you are. That makes it so much easier now.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, but shit happened.
Remember, this is clusterfuck mining. So.
But if I'm not wrong, we have one Canadian and 3 Swedish guys here.
No Canadians right now.
No, you are. I don't remember where you're from, Captain.
I'm US.
US, yeah. So 1 US and 3 Swedes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so hopefully this isn't right on top of you. I think this should be a little bit behind you. Let's save that real quick.
Yeah, that's not on top of me.
Yeah, that was the reason why it was literally almost in the exact same spot. That's where Rasmus went over last. Right, that's spawned.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my game crashed, and then when I came back, my truck was upside down. I'm like, no, please.
I can't remember who's on the back of the 6040, but the characters all stay in when they despawn, when they log off. So this is from last episode too. Somebody's sitting in the back here.
Yeah, I think that's Chaos.
Is it Chaos? Yeah. Yeah, I've driven off that cliff a couple times.
Yeah. Me too. I had driven off many cliffs in this area.
Oh, Chris Adams Boofus. Thank you. Chris, did you go in other names and fill that out? Just if you do that at some point on Discord, that's always nice to see. That way I can start to remember. I always do better with a visual. I can see it. There's a tab in Discord called Other Names. You can just fill that out with like your YouTube name and your Discord. Then people can start to see who's who where. But yeah, that's good. Yep, but yeah, you're welcome, Chris. Speaking of fish, is there a 64 fish catch limit per net? I believe there is, yes. Yeah. There's people asking in the appropriate channels on the bug tracker feature request asking for a larger limit on that. The 64 makes me like I don't know shit about programming, of course, but the 64 is interesting to me. 64 is would make me think that it's what is it, bits or whatever it is, Rasmus, that it's
yeah, it's dividable by 2, or it's an exponential 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because if it was 32 or 64 or 128, that would make me think, it's something in there. So, maybe they could go to 128s, but I to a certain extent, I agree. Yeah, it would be kind of nice. I think it potentially what you could do is just put 4 nets together too. Like I have big ass nets in my boat, and I just retrieve them sooner. Like I did a test doing, what the hell the name of them? I forget what the name of this fish is. They're profitable. I was doing some of them yesterday. You can barely see them. They're so small in the water, but they catch in the net. And so, like, I would do about a 2-minute pass, and then I would be full. And it's not a big deal. It's like then pull the nets up. It was more than a 2-minute. I'd do about a 10-minute stretch and then pull up the nets. But it was kind of nice. It was a little bit more engaging doing a 10-minute stretch and pulling up the nets. I do get the people want bigger than 64, but you can string smaller nets together too. You could put in more anchors and stretch them, and then you'd be able to do 64 per. It's something with the fish visually show up to a certain number. You'll see they even disappear, or they don't visualize. So I wonder if it has something to do with that. So again, sometimes it's nice. For example, like if that's the most important issue to somebody, we have a Q&A coming up. It's more than next week. It's a Thursday. It'll be a week and a half. Ask that as your question. Like, hey, why is that? Do it in a nice manner and ask inquisitively. Like, hey, I'm curious from a technical standpoint. Why is there a limit on the net of 64 fish? Because I would be interested to hear the answer to that. Like, we can only visually fit 64 fish in the net. We have to make it so that people who make small nets can hold the same visual amount that people who have big nets, because the nets stretch, and so we still can't stretch the number of fish or something like that. That would be an interesting answer from a technical perspective, because generally I don't think the devs are just floating through the world doing random shit. I think, they come to it and there's a reason. There's a balancing pass reason. They go, we found that if it's over 64 fish, we tried with 128 that it was causing a little bit of lag, and we didn't want to lag people's games out, so we decided to stick with 64. That could be an answer, and it's reasonable, and you say, hey, there are some ways you can get around this yourself if you want. String more nets together,
It could also be, as you said earlier, it could have to do with bits, because
that's what I'm thinking.
64 is 8 times 8 bits.
Yes.
Would make sense to use 8 bytes. If you had 128, that would all of a sudden be another byte, which could ruin a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's what I thought when I saw the number 64. It kind of was like, 64 seems like it's probably a technical issue, and that's the thing where I think, again, it's a lot of people think that software is easy who don't know anything about it, and I don't know anything about it, and I assume that it's hard. And part of the thing is, like, a lot of these things, like, I didn't know that, like, and it makes perfect sense. Like you're saying, you have to add a whole another byte for, like, not a whole lot of benefit, where you could just pull your nets up, empty them, and go fishing again. And the other thing, too, is from, again, like, is it really fun to, say, drive your boat for 10 minutes, have an absolutely enormous net, catch 1,100 fish, and then empty it? Or is it, is it more fun to take a smaller boat, putt around for 15 minutes, bring up your nets, empty your nets, put them back in, putt around for another 10 minutes? Part of that, bringing the nets up, putting the nets down, that's engagement. That is kind of part of the fun. And so, personally, that could be a balance issue on that too, where you say, like, the other thing too is from a money perspective is, like, they can't make something so profitable that it ruins everything else, because you get that meta group of players who are like, why would I do anything else now? Because the fish are the most profitable thing in game, and the real reason is do what you think's fun. Like, but it's also nice that things are naturally balanced, where I could spend an hour doing oil and I get reasonably around the same amount of money if I spend an hour doing fishing that if I do an hour of rescues. That's some level of balancing on that too, where you try to make it where, for the most part, an hour of work is an hour of work is an hour of work.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people need to dump this meta mentality, or at least try to, like, do something not meta. Because I see it in so many games, like, people only want to do the thing that makes them the most money. Well, then, okay, you got a boatload of money. What do you do with it now? Like, you've got no reason to do anything else, because you got cash coming out of your ears, It's often better just to like, you know, do what you think's fun and keep doing that, you know?
Yeah, I can tell that microcontroller programming is a lot easier in stormworks than IRL. For example, on my work we have a Bluetooth unit hooked up to the microcontroller I'm programming, and it basically have a pin that goes high. When it's full, it cannot take anymore, so I have to stop transmitting. The problem is that when it says hello, I'm full, I don't know how much did I send that didn't get to, that wasn't airborne, because it flips that flag too late. So the CPU can send faster than it, so it's desyncing, and I need to send data and make sure that everything is sent from one Bluetooth device to another one, and a lot of stuff like that. And you have something called interrupts in a microcontroller. You have it on a computer as well, but the kernel takes care of all that stuff, and they have different priorities. Some you can set yourself, and some are if you have two interrupts with the same priority, they have a different priority internally in the CPU and so forth, and you have timers that ticks, and code that have less priority can be interrupted by code that have a higher priority, so you have to have locks so that you don't use the same variable from two different code from two different code functions, and you make sure that you turn off optimization in the compiler because of something called OOE, out of order execution. So that's how much you have to think about when you're coding the real deal all the time.
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead and let's head down and dump up. We're gonna have to finish up here anyway.
yeah,
I gotta get going anyway. But let's start heading down. We'll dump. I think probably these will all refill pretty quickly. But what I think we'll do is next time we'll run the train. That way I can get the new versions of all the mining equipment in, the shovel and the 6040, and then while we're doing the train, all these will refresh. They don't take that long to refresh all of the nodes, but if we keep hitting them right away, it takes like 2 seconds and we get like 28 for it. But let them refresh, and that way we can get all new versions of equipment. Would be nice. I do like the trainer seat in these for driving around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some good mining there. We'll do some this week. Now that things are running smoothly, we've got the facility. It makes it a hell of a lot easier to just for me to just do a multiplayer, where before it was like, oh Christ, I gotta get the train going, and the facility helps a lot. So we'll probably next time we'll recall the vessels, or we'll mine one or the other. We'll figure it out then. But we can bring the train in, get all this processed and sold. That'll work out. If you want to go up right here, Citrus, we can go down the diamond. But it's like, this is what was intended. The devs talked about what their intentions for multiplayer was, and it's like a bunch of people hanging around and playing together, not like, it'd be like us just flying around the map. It would be fine to work together, but it's like, there are just some technical elements that the map can't call. You can't get parts that shouldn't be here to despawn. You got everything up all the time. There's a bunch of discussion in Steam this week about people trying to break the speed limit. And it's like, there's a reason there's a speed limit. There's a reason there's a speed limit in most games is, part of the world has to despawn, and then it has to respawn when you get close, and the faster you go, it's just the more resources it's going to take to get that up. The more world has to say spawned up. Go left here. everybody go left. Just keep following left. This is not the. Can we get down here? This is here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you found. There's a. Yeah, kind of hairy here. As long as you make it down without crashing.
Yeah, I'm empty, so it's just despawn the truck if it's.
Yeah, not a big deal. But yeah, so it's like a lot of that stuff is just. We'll see you later, there, Chris. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing is like, you know, people. It sounds good to people to be able to like, go dip their nets and get 1 million fish in a pass, but like, okay, so that's fun for a second. Yay, I hit big number. Yay. But beyond that, it's like, okay, well, part of the fun is like literally me. I'm sitting there with my boat going on autopilot and it's going through fish. Okay, so that's fun for a little while. But it's like, what's kind of fun is, okay, I do that for a little while, then I get up and then I lift the nets and then I dump the fish and then I reset the nets and then I do, you know, it's that activity that's what's the most fun. And so like for me, I've got twin nets on the beam trawler. They're 64 a piece, right? So you can take up 128 fish per go and then dump them. And so every, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, I have to stop the boat, bring up the nets, dump the nets, reset the nets. I change my lights for if I'm shooting nets or hauling nets. You know, with multiplayer, you can have one person operating the port net, one person operating the starboard net. Up a couple fish fell out. Have those people run around picking fish up off the deck. The other thing I found too is if you leave the net higher up off the hopper, you don't spill as many fish because as they fall down, they more readily go in. You know, so that's more interactive, more fun, and it works better in a multiplayer environment anyway, I think. So it's like some of the people asking for like huge net quantities. I don't see it. Like Rasmus was saying, the difference between could be a big technical issue between 64 and 128. And so it's like, you know, the devs are like, the game will run better at this, you know, and it will be, I think sometimes it's helpful for them to say that, like to post, oh, there's a reason why we've put it at 64 fish. It's quite a bit more resources to go 128 for not that much benefit. It's better just to pull your nets more off, you know. An answer like that I think is reasonable.
Yeah, if you save the game, the nets must be saved as well, and it can have all different kinds of fish. So the reason may be deeper than at first. I didn't think about that, but yeah. So if you're saving the game, you don't want the file end up being 2 terabytes in size for a save game.
Yeah. You know, and that's the devs have talked before in the Q&A about, you know, they don't want the file size to swell too much. And again, you know, you have people complaining that at 90% their game takes quote-unquote forever to load. That is partly how many files the game has to load in at a time. You know, and then you could have issues where, for example, the workbenches disappear or the pumps disappear when you get far enough away. Well, you start adding some of the complexity of stuff. Does that now cause problems? And so, like, all these things could, you know, are things we as players don't necessarily think about that could be a problem, you know. And, you know, a lot of people just attribute to, oh, dev's dumb. And it's like, generally, it's like, you know, things are complicated, and complicated problems require complicated solutions. It's like when people say, oh, it's common sense, it's easy to do. It's like, generally, that's not the case. Generally, complex problems require complex solutions, you know, and you finally get to this thing, and, you know, it's harder than you think it is, you know, and there's reasons why people make decisions why they do. You know, you get a 5% better gameplay by doing this thing, but you get a 30% FPS hit. So you say, you know what, the 5% better gameplay is not worth the 30% FPS hit. So you don't do that thing that seems like a no-brainer to make the game better. Why? Because it costs more than it affords you. So it's little things like that too.
Programming have the issue of sometimes things that you might think is very hard to do is simple, and sometimes you think that, oh, that must be easy to do, and it's not, because it's not intuitive. There is a little sketch where a team leader is standing behind a developer, asking the developer if they could make an app that if you take a photo, checks whether you are in the Yellowstone nature. What is it called?
Yellowstone National Park.
National Park. Yeah, exactly. Or not. And yeah, geofencing. So you just check the position of the phone. Is it there or not? And then if the photo is of a bird or not, yeah, give me 5 guys and a year.
Yeah.
Or 2, because that's much harder than you're trying to recognize something in the image.
You know, it's yeah, it starts seeing some of the commonality of things too, of like what a lot of games do is, you know, generally when an industry does something, you know, everybody does the same thing. It's for a reason. You know, it's like, why do airplanes mostly look the same? Why do cars mostly look the same? Why do like mining trucks from Komatsu and Cat and Libair look very similar? Because that is the body shape that works, you know. And it's the same thing with software. It's like, why do a lot of them do these things? Well, one, so you have a workforce that all knows how to do it, and you know, also because that solves these problems, and it's, you know, and then you know, people will often use it incorrectly where they talk about, well, this game does this and doesn't have a problem. It's like, yeah, well, that's a different game with different goals and objectives. You know, like a lot of games, you don't build your own logic for your vehicle. It's all pre-built in there. You don't change the visuals of it. You don't change the collisions of it. And so now the goals become different, and you can't do as many things because, you know, you have a block game where each block has to be rendered, where another, you know, an optimized game, you know, essentially one car comes in as one big solid chunk and does, you know, and the wheels are actually, like, if you notice in game, the wheels are invisible. They have no collisions. We can walk through them. You know, that allows us to change size. You know, you wouldn't be able to do that if they, you know, weren't like that. You know, and so it's like little things like that that have to happen in a game where you can change, you know, the shape and the structure of your builds, and you are in charge of the logic, and then it makes it a hell of a lot harder to optimize a game when you're in charge of making the logic, and where you have to optimize it, you know.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's like I don't optimize a lot. Like I showed the other day when I was showing like what causes like a lot of lag in the game was like I spawn Triton. Triton is not well optimized at all. It's got a ton of logic, and it slows the game down considerably by myself in single player. And then I put up 2 Tethys, and we still had a hell of a lot more frames than we had 1 Triton. And it's because Tethys is, you know, the logic's a little bit simpler. You know, it has fewer moving parts. It has fewer subgrids. It's like, you know, like some of these, like when I worked on the rope shovel, I tried to get rid of as many subgrids as I could to make it so that we have less of a laggy experience. You know, and now go into a Wild West multiplayer environment where you've got some people who can jump in the workshop and bring anything they want and throw it in the world, and they bring this monstrosity that is just, and now the whole server is suffering because this one dude decided he wanted to do something jerky, either on purpose or by accident, and now that guy doesn't get blamed because nobody knows that guy did that. They blame the game, and it's, you know, they need to blame the guy who, you know, like, hey, dude, stop bringing that Titanic in here. You know. 15,000 and change. So, 16,450. So 17,000. So 1,700 times 85 is, we got 144,500 in the facility at the moment. Total.
nice.
Total monies.
Have you seen where I have gone?
I have not. Yes.
Damn it. I'm sorry, but I can't. I can't figure out which button releases the mag all.
Hold function 1.
Hold function 1.
Yeah, 5 seconds, I think.
Gotta hold disabled it for a little while. It's a safety feature so that you can't accidentally drop it when you don't want to.
That's a good thing.
5 seconds is excessive. I should probably make it like 3, but. You know, the other thing too that people don't realize is if you come up with a solution with the current way the game is, the devs, for good reason, I guess, say, well, we don't have to do that now because they have a laundry list of shit they got to do. And so, for example, like when I had requested in the last Q&A, I'm like, hey, would you guys do some transportation missions? You know, essentially Deltar's answer, which I didn't like, but again, it makes sense, was he says, well, you can already do that with mods or with add-ons. And so the issue becomes then is, you know, by coming up with some of these solutions on your own or making add-ons, you can become your own worst enemy where you know, it can already be done, so why would the devs put, like, the 90 things they have on their to-do list on hold to do this thing that you can already do? And it's like dually wheels. I would love to see dually wheels. But why don't we probably get dually wheels? Because we can make dually wheels. Are they perfect? No, but we can make them. And so do the devs spend 3 weeks on making dually wheels or however long it takes and then having to deal with the bugs that might crop up? Or people bitching that, oh, well, I wanted dually wheels like this. Or, hey, you added 3 sizes of dually wheels. Can you add 5 more? Or do they just say, hey, people can already do it, you know? It's like, you know, people asking for new windows. Well, you got everybody and their brother out there XMLing Windows. Well, it can be done. So because it can be done, do they spend all this time that they could be spending on other things, you know, making a Windows pack? You know, I think it would be popular and it would be a good idea to do, but, you know, they have a lot of other things to do, and they have to also look at, you all set there, Citrus? You know, again, like I showed the Steam DB numbers. When they put up a good minor update or a major update or a DLC, the player base grows, and it grows quite large comparatively. And so it's like the people say, oh, just fix bugs. No, man. You know, the data shows the exact opposite things. Every time they add new content, more people play the game, more people buy the game. They know the buy numbers. Like, let's look at the numbers on Steam DB right now. The numbers are looking really good. Remember when you had the Negative Nancy's bitching that all the game's dying, ha ha ha, and they were happy. Like, I'm not happy when any game dies, but these people are like happy with it. It's the normal uptick from May to June. Here's May to June. April's lowest. May to June goes up, right? April goes down. May to June. Let's find over here. Where are we at? April's the lowest. May to June. All right, every year it's been like that. And what happened this year? Ticks down into April, and then it ticks up into May. And this is where the updates are. And you can see these are all major updates. These 3 here are major. This one's a major update. This was this is a DLC. This was a major update. February 22, I think, was oil, maybe. No, that would have been. It might have been oil. Can't remember. February 22 was a major update, I believe. End of January. Remember, we got one this year on January 30th. So there's beginning of February. Bingo, big player spike. October is when we've had all the DLCs. October. Where's the other October? Here's an October. Here's an October 23. Those are all of the DLCs are October. The biggest spikes have been DLCs. So when somebody says, oh, the devs, you know, nobody wants DLC. Bullshit. The numbers tell you something different. They tell you that every October has been the best player count ever, and that means that people have bought the DLC, played the game. You know, and so when people think the devs are stupid for putting down DLCs, I would say the exact opposite. Is I think they should put out a DLC this year. They're not going to, and they already said they weren't, so they shouldn't because they already said they weren't. But it's like the numbers go up and people bought it. People buy it, man. And people are interested. They want new content. All the major updates are spikes, you know, and so, like, look at the peak player count now. We're up to 2,887. We got 2,700 players in right now. The number's looking good. Like May 20, see, we'll have to go to April because April is going to be more representative because we're not done with May. But April has a 2748, and then the April before was 3558. That's coming off of a big DLC. You know, that was a popular DLC. You know, we had a DLC that kind of had a lot of problems this last one, and that did cause a slump. And the other thing too to realize is like Industrial Frontier didn't fundamentally change how the game works. Pressurization did. And so naturally, you're going to have a bunch of players who it takes time for them to figure it out. Yet some people get frustrated. You know, the workshop slowed down as people were trying to figure out issues. It was kind of a long, protracted issue there where the devs took about a month and change. It was end of November, which was about a month and some change from when the DLC came out. That's when I put out, I think, my Steam tutorial and a bunch of Module Engine tutorial. And that was when the game was pretty much mostly solidified. They were making small tweaks, but things are fixed within a month. You know, and then, you know, a bunch of players who don't know much about the engineering element of it, they were kind of in limbo, you know, and then came back, you know, so. But you can tell the new fishing stuff has increased the player count as people are enjoying the new content. So it's definitely a smart thing to do to keep adding these things. And the DLCs, again, you know, people try to say the DLCs are stupid and it's a bad idea. The numbers don't say that at all, man. The numbers say the exact opposite. The numbers say that when even the DLC that caused a lot of problems, that means that another 2,500 people were playing. So assume that everybody who did that bought that, right? There's at least 2,500 copies sold right there, minimum. You know, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense for a company that needs to have revenue. Yeah. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I hope they put the hidden power port on the wheel hubs so that you could do real dualists. I think
Yes,
that would
that'd
be
nice.
quite
Yep,
simple
a pass
for
through
them
Yeah.
to do.
is all you need.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a hidden pass through. Like maybe I'll make a video on that where like, because again, this is the thing. Like the devs have been receptive to some of our videos, and the things you have to demonstrate to them is that one, it's going to have an audience, so people are going to want to use it and play with it. Because again, it's a waste of time if they could make Sprocket A when more people would play with Sprocket B, right? And so you got to demonstrate to them that it's worth their time, and then you got to demonstrate that one, it's not going to break the game, and then two, that it's going to be, you know, a reasonable expenditure of time. They can't spend 4 years on something, so you say, hey, all we want is a pipe that passes through the axle so you can stack them. Bingo, done. That makes sense. They put a pipe through the axles. It's just invisible, and now you can stack the wheels and make dualies and triples and whatever you want for your farming vehicles. You know, that makes perfect sense. It's reasonable. You know, you need to explain to them what is the benefit of this. For example, more traction. You know, we can have dualies where the inside tire is powered, but now what should be a vehicle powered by 8 wheels, it's only powered by 4 wheels. And so you don't have as much tractive force, you know. So, how's it going there, Fenris Lord? How are you? Yep, yeah, exactly, David. It's just, you know, again, a lot of these people are grasping for straws. They're kind of emotional people anyway who don't like, they don't think scientifically anyway. So when they make these claims, they're saying, I want the game to fail because poo-poo, it hurts my fifis, and I want to burn the house down with everyone in it, instead of being like, hey, I don't like this game anymore. I'll go find a game I like and screw. Like, there are plenty of games I don't like playing, that I don't like playing, that I just stopped playing. Like, you know, I didn't like Starfield. You know, I played Starfield. I refunded it twice. You know, and I don't go hang out on the forums all day and say, what a shit game this is. See, everybody, I was right. This is a shit game. No, dude, it wasn't the game for me. I acknowledged it wasn't the game for me, and I moved on with my life. You know, I think more people need to do that shit. But,
It's said that people can't let go of past things.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. You're good and running. Are you coming to dump, or did you get? Here you are. I see you now.
I'm returning it.
Okay, good.
I did get it working.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys. So I think we'll finish up there. You can go park that wherever is fine. We're gonna probably do the train next time, but some good mining there. That was fun. We got that up and running. Probably we might despawn all the stuff, take the train next time. We may not. But that'll be kind of nice to do a train run. We'll all get together. We'll dump in the train. We'll load up the cars. We'll do some shunting. Maybe we'll put the DE2. Yep. Yeah, we'll probably do the DE2 and the 6. I got to look at the cars. I might build some better cars this week that are less resource intensive because those are like a bomb. But we can see what that looks like, and then we can convert the ore into refined ore and be able to sell some of this off. That's the whole point of the facility, is so we don't have to have the train out here all the time. And then that will also allow all those nodes to respawn because we pretty much picked this sucker clean. And then at some point, it'll be kind of cool to get into iron. You know, at some point, you know, it's just a different mining environment. But it'd be kind of cool to get into iron. Even getting back into gold would be kind of interesting. Gold definitely needs some specialized equipment. I want to make some add-ons for gold. You know, because gold, you got to do, like, say you get 130, let's say you get 150,000 dirt rich gold. That then comes here and it converts down to 15,000, which then goes over here and converts down to 1,500, which then converts down here and it is 150, and then comes in here and we sell 150. So gold is really not worth it. That's why it looks good at 2,000, but you know, you keep reducing it by 10 every step you take. So, but all right, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you to Citrus and Rasmus, and to Anton for hanging out today. And who else? Was that it? Was that everybody who was in here? I think that was it, right? Sergeant didn't jump on. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you guys for hanging out, and yeah, we'll do some more multiplayer this week, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, it was fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah, I just needed to do the barbecue, so